Hey all, Mark Vega here, the Run Long After 60 podcast. If this is the first time you're here, I am so glad you're here. This is a really great one to catch. And if this is not your first time, well, you know how this goes. Every episode of the Run Long After 60 podcast is me out running, moving, not behind a desk, in a studio. And usually I record these intros right after an interview. So they're hodgepodge, but they're fun. And I'm really glad you're here. Not waste any time though today. Today's guest is Keith Allison. Wait a minute, back up. Let me start over. Today's guest is record breaker, record setter in the 60 to 69-year-old age group, Keith Allison. He's 61 years old. Now you've read and heard about the Cocodona 250. If you haven't, look it up. 254-mile point-to-point race in Arizona from Black Canyon City to Flagstaff. What a grueling event. Since 2001, they put it on. Why is Keith the record holder? Keith is the first person ever in the history of the race between the ages of 60 and 69 to finish the race under 100 hours. I know that sounds insane, 100 hours, but it's a 5-day race, multi-day. So Keith finishes at 99 and a half hours. Now this is the first time he ever ran this race, but I'm excited about the episode and I want to get to it real quick because it is a master class. This is a master class of if you want to run this race, now that it's famous, now that you heard of it, and maybe you're a little older than you used to be, this is a master class. Keith, number one, he paced people at Cocodona in 2022 and 2024, meaning he was running with another runner, keeping them going, keeping their spirits up, making sure they didn't get lost. And he had his feet on the course. Also, he came out for the training camp for Cocodona and had his feet on the course. And also, he came out for just training runs out on the course over the last couple of years. And importantly, in March, he came out here, moved up here in a camper, moved up toward the race so that he could do training runs and get acclimated and all the things. Now, we go segment by segment, and I'm doing that on purpose because I want people to look up this race. If they really want to figure out how it can be done, this is the one to follow. Now, we also have to get to celebrate Pam Reed, one of the greatest of all time ultra runners doing long distances. Pam's in her 60s now, and she finished second, less than an hour after Keith. She was 100 hours and 28 minutes. So she didn't break the 100-hour record, but boy, was she heading toward it. And then third on the podium in the age group at 69 years old, Paul James Johnson. I had the opportunity to crew and pace him during this last Cocodona just a couple weeks ago. He's a beast. Now, he won't be running in the 60 to 69-year-old group anymore. He's 70 now, so who knows what kind of magic Paul can turn on next year. But for now, Keith Allison, wow. If you like what you're hearing, if you're picking up what I'm putting down, if you like my vibe, and others like me, we are legion between the ages of 60 and 69. We're really choosing to do the things we want to do. We make the sacrifices as we have our whole lives, but we're here to do it. And I'm inviting you in. If you like what you hear, go to the YouTube channel, Run Long After 60, subscribe, please. Leave us a comment, send us notes, share the content with someone who looks like me. Come on, there's lots and lots and lots of us. Okay, won't waste any more time. Shout out to Paul James Johnson, Pam Reed, and to the total of 6 runners in the age group this year. 19 started, 6 finished. Last year, 14 started, 3 finished. The only 2 who finished last year on the podium and this year, Paul James Johnson. All right, I think that's it. You ready? I'm ready. Woo, let's go, baby. It's time. It's time for Keith Allison. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Welcome to another edition of the Run Long After 60 podcast. I'm Mark Vega, and with us today, first in his age group, Cocodona 250, 2026, the 60 to 69-year-olds. This is Keith Allison. Hi, Keith. Welcome to the show.
Hey. Thank you, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Really good to see you. Now, it's not often that a name shows up on a Cocodona roster or a long distance roster that I feel like I've never heard of. And that seemed to be you when I looked at the entrance and I looked who finished, like, wait, what's this guy's story? So Keith, we're really glad you joined, and tell us, start from wherever you want to start, but have you always been a runner? Give us a little origin story of running before we end up at Cocodona.
Sure. Hated running growing up. Running was the punishment for doing poorly or failing something in another sport, which I did all kinds of other sports, but never focused on running. I actually remember when I was playing tennis as a kid, just the start of that fitness craze in the 70s, and one of our instructors took us on a 10K run in Montreal, and I couldn't walk for a week after that. So I figured I just wasn't born to run. That was not me. Little did I know that you can train your muscles. But it took me about, I don't know, 50 years after that to figure that out.
Wait, how old were you when you were playing tennis and had that
experience?
That
was like 14 years old or so.
Okay.
A young teenager, and I hated it. Why would I want to do something that made my muscles so sore for such a long time afterwards? So fast forward, 30 years later, and my wife and a friend of hers were starting to get into running, and we were busy building a business, so time was at a premium. But I'll try it, give it a whirl. So I say trained. We practiced running for a bit for a half marathon. Same story. Ran a half marathon, couldn't walk for a week after that. So I was like, why do people do this?
Wait, how old were you then? How old was that?
Oh boy, that was
in your 40s?
Early 40s, yeah. But it gave me an outlet to get rid of some stress, and started training to run a marathon.
How did she feel? Did you run with her, and how was her recovery time and all that compared to you? You were like, I'm done with this, but sounds like she might have been running a little bit more.
She was a little bit more of a runner at the time. I think I beat her. Yes, I did beat her, but she wasn't as sore as I was, that's for sure. I paid the price. She didn't, which I guess means she was in better running shape than I was in that day.
Right.
So then, got into a marathon, and it was called Loop the Lake out here in British Columbia. It's run on a 100-degree day, and I didn't really know much about training, hydrating, anything.
Oh God.
I went out fast with a young kid, and we were just having fun for the first half. And then reality started kicking in, and I was severely underhydrated, started cramping, which is a theme for me in my future. This old guy, as I'm bent over cramping, this old guy who was doing a half marathon passed me by and says, "Don't worry, it'll pass." And I was unable to make any progress at that point. Finally crossed the finish line.
You did? Wow. Okay.
I finished it. Yeah. It was a downhill finish, which is deadly because I couldn't stop. Finally stopped, and all four quads, hamstrings, calves all went into simultaneous cramp. And I just heard over the PA, he looks to be in a bit of trouble. And I was. It was not a good experience, but I was hooked, and I, ended up qualifying for Boston.
Stop. Wait. Okay. This is the first marathon you ever finished, right?
Yeah.
And you finished in a quite dramatic fashion, and your whole body seizes up. But there has to be some period of time between that moment and the moment where you say, "Oh, now I'm hooked." Like, what? What are you, crazy? That's crazy.
I think it was the competition. It was a competition against yourself. And of course, Boston was out there as a qualifying thing. So, okay, that's the standard to, you've made it, or you made it. At least at the moment, I thought that was it. So I tried to qualify for Boston, and my next one I did. So.
Wait, your second marathon ever, you ran fast enough to qualify for Boston?
Yeah.
Wow. What year was that? That's pretty cool. That's very cool.
first one I ran was 2009. I ran it 2 years back to back, 2009, 2010.
That is recent. Okay.
So, and
Okay.
then, but my time was 3:13 or whatever. And so in my brain, I saw guys who were just under 3 hours and I look at them and I look at the pace they did and I go, I'm not willing to do the work to get to that. But if I was going to continue running marathons, that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to break 3. And I say, I'm simply not willing to do the work. Um, so I kind of left running for a bit. And then there was a trail race that a friend of ours found out about. It was a 100-miler, but you could do it as a relay. So it's called Sinister 7 up here in Alberta. And so we did that as a team back in, I think that was 2012-ish. Again, I did a 30-kilometer leg, but in the mountains on trails. A hot day. It beat the crap out of me. I cramped again. There was a woman having heat convulsions, passed out on the trail. It was glorious. It was
You'd
amazing.
never done a trail work. You'd never done a trail run before like that.
No,
Okay.
I did my training, which
What
was
was the
basically
training?
marathon training.
Yeah. What was the training between the second and the third marathon? Like, before you trained. Yeah. And you ran, did you run Boston or you just
Yep.
qualified?
Yep.
Boston was your third marathon, right?
So it was my fourth. I did three before. Boston was my fourth.
So did you have training protocol that you put into place and you kind of figured it out so that by the time you ran Boston between the third and the fourth marathon, did you have some training protocol and did you have a plan and that kind of thing?
One would like to think so, but really no. It was just
That's why I
basically show up
asked.
and yeah, it was just show up and think you've done training, but really you haven't. With what I've learned subsequently, not even close to
Y-
a plan.
You know
Um,
what though? I can tell this is who Keith Allison is, I think. Um, and I'm only coming to learn some of these things, I think, Keith, as I get older. We might figure out systems and protocols and structures and rule books internally for ourselves as we're younger. And I think we might put those rule books in place because it's going to help us move forward. But sometimes I think you can't rewrite those rule books. So here you are in your 40s. You already had hard recovery time. You had an objective to run fast enough for Boston. Here you are. You're going to run Boston.
yeah.
And yet the rule books that you had earlier, probably the same rule book. So you didn't really train any differently, but you did it though. You pulled it off. So maybe those old rule books actually treat us well.
I'm not so sure they treat us well.
Oh, okay.
I'm a much different athlete now, in terms of training and preparation.
After
Um,
Boston, you mean? After after Boston was this first trail relay, right?
right. And failed. Well, didn't fail. Got across the line, and our team did okay. Um,
What
did
did you
another
train? How did you train for the trail run? If
just
you
running in the trails behind our yard. I'm lucky enough that our backyard goes out into logging roads and trails.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, it's just, I didn't focus on elevation. I focused on distance, which was not the correct thing to do because it is a
Ah,
mountainous course. And that's what ended up beating me up. So again, very unprepared for that. Maybe a little more prepared the next year because we did it again. And then the following year I turned 50 and I said, okay, if I'm going to do a 100-miler, let's sign up for it and do it when I'm 50.
yeah,
How hard can it be?
yeah.
Um, Again, no real good knowledge. The internet was there, but
Yeah, what year
only
was this? What year was
this
that?
2014.
Okay.
And
Yeah, there is enough information. There's enough confusing, conflicting information
yeah,
out there. Trails are just starting to, in some weird way, come into their own. 100s are nascent. They're new. There's a couple of, Wasatch, Vermont, Old Dominion, some of the originals, Western states. Of course, they existed. Um, had you even heard of 100-mile races? What 100-mile races were you aware of when you signed up to do the 100-mile relay?
really only this one, Sinister 7.
Okay.
Wasn't aware of anything else.
Okay.
And Sinister's great. I mean, it's got that relay component. It's got the individual soloist component. It's an amazing atmosphere. It's a mountainous track, so you're getting lots of elevation. It's probably about 20,000 feet of gain.
Ooh.
So it's a good test. And when I was doing the relay and I'd see these guys stumble in the next morning. It's like, wow, they did 100 miles. That's pretty amazing. Didn't really think that I'd want to do that, but then shortly thereafter, I said, well, you're turning 50. Why not give it a shot?
Come on, man. You only live once and you only turn 50 once, right?
Well,
What
that's it.
talk about the British Columbia running scene or Alberta. Like, talk about that. How has that, as I'm fascinated that even at that time, internet and all that, you really had no other awareness of a branded, 100-mile race. And I get that. I think me too. I was the same, I'm pretty sure.
Partly because I
So,
wasn't interested. I was just like, well, I'll give this a shot. I wasn't really serious about it. So it wasn't like I was doing a deep dive, trying to find out stuff. It
right.
was like,
What
okay, I
were
can do
your
my,
hobbies? What were your hobbies at that time?
probably fly fishing, hiking, working, golfing. Uh,
Okay.
I'd fallen into a little bit of a sedentary lifestyle, which was not what I wanted to do. But you're putting on the pound a year for 20 years and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm one of those guys now. So there was
Listen,
motivation there to fight back against time by at least being as fit as you could or could be. But even then it was just kind of early days and was I fully committed to it? No. Um, Lots of excuses, lots of work reasons why you don't do it. So training was half-ass. Really hadn't connected with a lot of runners in the BC community at that point. I was doing it a lot solo. And so the race is over in Alberta. We're in BC, but we're very close. We're about an hour away from the border.
okay.
But the race draws a lot of Alberta runners, and not a ton of BC runners. Um, don't know what the reason is, but it's a fun race. So when I was 50 and I tried it for the first time, I think I got about, I don't know, 60 kilometers in, and my quads were absolutely gone because I hadn't done enough strength building, training on vertical. So I walked in the last 20 and said, half, that's good. I'm happy with that. Never again. This is stupid. Um,
So how much of that vert did you cover in that first leg or whatever?
about half, so 10,000 feet probably,
Okay. Yeah, you got to train for that for
but
sure.
no problem.
Take back to this for a second. Like, as you're talking about, this has been 2015, I think, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah, 2014 was my failed first effort at 100 miles.
Okay. And I remember probably 2011 to 14 or 15, 2010 to that time. I think I spent a lot of time having conversation with people saying, no, golfing is, you got to be an athlete to be a golfer. And so I remember following Tiger Woods and get inspired. But in hindsight, I realized, oh, I was just trying to justify why my only real physical activity was golfing.
Yeah, yeah. At least we walked, right? Or I hope we did.
Or we walked to the cart and then got in the cart and then walked,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, I tried to tell myself, look, I'll carry my bags all the time. And then a friend of mine, get me this gift that was a little, the little walk thing with wheels on it. It was like a fancy one. I'm like, oh, this is cool. And then the next time I walked, I'm like, oh, this is much better. And he said, yeah, it's not a workout anymore. Yeah, that was about it. So sorry for that. Sorry for that tangent. But the moment you said golf, I think that might be what happens, right? How did the business you started with your wife, does it still exist? And
No, we got out of it in 2019. We still
okay.
do a little bit of consulting for it, but very little.
Okay. But in
Basically retired.
2013, 14, 15, though, while you were golfing and doing other things, you were still running that business, clearly.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think that I think historical perspective of what's going on with our lives in our 40s and 50s makes the conversation that I have with people running in their 60s, it brings a lot more focus to things because we're also very different, right? So
Yeah.
makes sense. So by the time you're 50, you're going to give it a go. So the first one didn't work out like you wanted.
Correct. It was a failure.
At 60 miles, did you say? When did you stop that?
50 miles, basically halfway.
Because
And,
you were shredded. Your body wasn't ready for what you just put it through.
yeah, and I convinced myself through either ignorance or the brain negotiating with itself that I couldn't walk it in, that I didn't have enough time. Might have been able to, in hindsight, but I wasn't prepared to pay that price. Um, of the pain of walking it in. So, that was a lesson learned. You can walk these things in if you need to, and just get her done.
Yeah, I might get there one day, but so far, when I get pulled off the course, it's not because I've decided to walk. It's because it's just going too slow to begin with, I guess. So, okay, so you're 50. When do you decide? How long after you stopped in being in that race? How long did it take you before you signed up for the next one?
It was 3 years. So really didn't do a lot of running in that meantime. I might have participated as part of a team doing a couple legs here and there on relays for 100 milers, but never. I might have done a 50K once, but really nothing. It was a total break. And
What
then
kind of
again,
fitness? What fitness were you working out? Were you swimming? Were you doing
no,
anything?
nope,
What?
just the golfing and fly fishing and a
Oh,
little bit
okay,
of hiking.
okay. That's all legit though. Your movement. You're not on a couch
Uh,
somewhere.
I was not happy. I mean, one of the reasons that I started back into the ultra was we went down with some friends to Spokane for a Garth Brooks concert. I'm not a Garth Brooks fan, but our friends are, so we went
Yeah.
and came back. It was a weekend of food, drink, and revelry. Came back, jumped on the scale, and it's like, okay, this has to stop. And so the next day, I signed up for the Sinister 100 miler again.
Oh my
Um,
God.
and and this time I was going to take it
Extreme
seriously.
much? Oh my God.
Yeah,
How
right.
heavy were you? How big of a, like, if I
It
can
was over
ask?
190.
Okay, I was ready for a much bigger number. What's your perfect, like now, how are you when you feel good? How heavy are you?
I'm 160.
Okay. So that was, yeah, 30 pounds. That's big. It's enough. So did you choose the 100 miler in part because it would force you, it's the right distance to force you to get into shape? And how far ahead of it, how much time did you give yourself? When was that race? When you said,
It's a good question. It was at least 6 months because I hired a coach for the first time. So I was committed. I wanted some knowledge that I couldn't provide myself or without, you know, going down rabbit holes. Let's
right,
get someone with some experience. And he was amazing. My first coach was, I'd never met him. I was all internet based,
right,
phone calls.
right.
But he'd had experience in long distance runs, and he was a data geek before that, in the running world before it really existed. So he was able to really give me a program that um, was fantastic. I was all the first when we at the start line, I was seriously doubting whether I had it to do it, but I ended up having a great run. Um, I ran with a friend for the second half of it, and he's an over 60 athlete as well. Um, and we walked leg six. It's a 30, I think it was a 35K leg at that point with the most vertical on it. We did that out of an abundance of caution because it was both of our first 100 milers that we were going to finish. So we didn't want to have an accident. In retrospect, that was bad. We chickened out. I really feel bad about that we ended up walking that. And we ended up running like 7. And we had I think our time was just over 25 and a half hours, something like that. So we did, pretty respectable.
That's great. How much vert in that course?
20,000 feet. So there's about
Okay, come
6,000
on.
meters.
Good
Yeah.
job. Go back to what do you mean in hindsight about you hiked
Yeah.
instead of running?
Instead
Like
of,
what was
yeah, we felt good.
okay.
We felt good enough to run, but we played it so safe. We didn't want to have a trip and fall because it's loose rock on a lot of the spots, but a lot of it is runnable. Um, so that's a what if, but lesson learned. You don't
But
have
you
to be so
finished,
cautious.
man. You finished
Yep.
in under 26 hours. That's at 20,000 feet again. That's great.
It was a
Honestly, come
good,
on.
it was a good race. Yeah. And then we
And
ended up signing up for 2 more races that summer based on that result and finished them both. One was the Canadian Death Race and one was Black Spur Ultra, both in Alberta, BC. So I ended up doing
excellent.
3 ultras that month, that summer,
How old were
which
you at that? What is this? How old
that
were you?
was 2018. Yeah, 18. So I was 50, 54.
So, okay, so you turn 50, you step in and you figure, then you're like, okay, I'm going to do this. So by the time you're 54, you completed 4 100-mile races?
No, that was my first. That was the first one to finish in
Okay.
2018. The other
Okay.
two were 120K and 108K.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's that summer. So I didn't do another 100 miler for 2 years after that.
How long did it take your body to recover after the first 100-mile finish?
I was amazed how quickly it recovered.
Yeah.
I walked. We were at our cabin. That I remember that walking up the slight hill to get to our trailer, where our office was, because we were still working, and it was a struggle to walk up the hill. I was walking awkwardly, but by that afternoon, so 24 hours after stopping, I was very good. Like there was a little bit of remnant pain and muscle soreness, but really, I was amazed how quickly it recovered.
24 hours.
Yeah, yeah. Now, I'm not saying I had the energy to go for a run, but the muscles weren't hindering me.
Well, no,
Um,
yeah, that makes sense then that your brain and body is like, okay, I'm doing this again because especially after your earlier experiences with breaks and then running and then being wiped out, your level of fitness was at a point where hmm, pretty good, right?
yeah, I was surprised by how well I did in that series of 3 races. They have a thing called the Sinister Triple, which is a combination of all those 3 races, and I ended up coming
Okay.
fourth overall in that, which blew my mind.
Well, that
But
little bit of incentive goes a long way, especially when you're not looking for the data and then the data appears and it shows you did something good, right?
yeah,
That's pretty cool.
yeah.
Was it about at what point do you become aware of the age group categories when you do races?
Phew. I don't really know the answer to that. I was, once I started doing okay, I was really not focused on age group. I was focusing on just doing well
Overall? Oh, okay.
against the field. I'm not going to win it. And it totally depends on who shows up. So, it's kind of it's a little bit of a false red herring to chase placement. You're really just racing against yourself. Um, No, probably not. I mean, in the 50s, maybe I was aware of it a little bit, but really when I turned 60, I was like, oh, okay. I'm still okay for what I do here. So and honestly, I use it more as a training, um, motivation. In the race, again, it depends on who shows up. Um, so it's really almost immaterial. You just do the best you can and you lay it out there.
Sure. Now, after Boston, did you ever look back? Did you ever go back and do some road races?
Nope, never.
No. Okay. So
No,
at
I
that
haven't.
time, sorry, go ahead.
I haven't touched. I mean, occasionally I'll do some road running here just as training, but no races since the last Boston time.
That's a boss move. You run Boston, you're like, okay, like the croupier, right? You run Boston, like, whew, I'm done.
Yep.
Clear. Table's
Two
done.
personal bests at Boston. That was enough for me.
Come on. So wait, you ran two Bostons?
Two Bostons, 2009, 2010.
And between the first and the second one, did you have any races in between or no?
Not that I recall. No.
Okay. So you ran Boston in a time, and then by the time you ran it again, you ran it faster than the first one?
Well, marginally. It was like two different strategies. First year strategy was conservative, take it easy, run the whole thing. So yeah, got it done. Second year it was like perfect weather conditions. I said go for it, and I went out hard and died and walked a bit and finished about 30 seconds faster. So
Wow. Yeah, those different strategies work. Okay. So I was going to ask age groups in street running and road racing broken down into 5-year groups. So it's, 60 to 64, then 65 to 69. But in trail running, UTMB might be changing this ultimately, but for now, it's, 60 to 69, 70 to 79, right? So we have those
yeah,
10-year gaps. So as a result, when you're road runners, right, as you begin that 5-year positioning, you you have new legs. You're younger than anybody else, and you push hard to get your commitments. There's a couple marathoners that I know, and she's like, they're masters of that, right? So they couldn't wait to be 50. You couldn't wait
Right.
to be 55. Then you couldn't wait to be 60. Then you couldn't wait to be 65, right? And now she's really excited because she's going to be 70 and she's going to crush it. And she's explained to me, she said, well, Mark, the biggest reason that you move up in the rankings is attrition. People just stop running as we get older,
Yep.
right? So pushing that into the trail universe and talking about that for a moment, and slow burn here, slow roll into Cocodona because it's 60, you're the youngest in the 60 to 69 year group. And so sometimes you have an opportunity to really make that mean something. And even if it wasn't your intention to start, by the time you finish and you see the rankings, like, okay, it can mean something. But let's not talk about Cocodona yet. Go back to your other 100-mile races, other long races. Well, wait, when did you turn 60? When did you turn 60?
1964. So 24, 2024.
Okay. So when did you run some trail races in 2024
Yeah.
at 60?
So I did UTMB at 58, and then I did IMTUF when was I 60 or was I still 59? No, I would have been 60. I did IMTUF. Um, and those were both great races. They asked a lot of you, but the reward is there. Uh, and it's good to push yourself in tough races.
How did you talk to us about both of those, if you don't mind? Talk to us about
Yep.
UTMB first. How did you hear about it? Why did you want to go to UTMB? How did you make it happen? And yeah, talk about that first.
So before I finished my first 100-miler in 2017, my wife and I were over there hiking, doing the Tour Mont Blanc.
Okay.
Had heard of this thing called UTMB, didn't know what it was. Really had no idea. But we were over there doing TMB hiking with a group,
Okay.
and our tour guide knew we dabbled in trail running, and it was during the actual UTMB. So on our last day on the trail, she took us over, deviated from our planned path, went onto the course to see Francois Dehaene run by us, and then 15 minutes later, Killian blew by us, and then we got to the bus and got down to the finish line and watched them come in, and it was like awesome. And we'd seen other snippets of runners of the different races. I think we'd seen some CCC guys in Triant. Um, and we went out on the course and watched them coming down a hill, and what they were doing at, that late in the race was, it was mind blowing. Like how aggressive they were cutting corners, because in Europe you can cut the corners. So they were just going off trail and skimming straight down to make a pass. I was like, holy crap, this is amazing. So that definitely stoked the fire to go over there and run UTMB. And based on my 2018 results, it was before this stone bullshit, pardon me. But it was, more of a lottery, and just you had to get the qualifying races in there.
Okay.
So I qualified to get in. Then COVID hit, so we delayed a year, and then eventually ran it until 2022.
What was your race, the qualifying race?
I think it was Sinister 7, the one
Okay.
in Alberta.
And how many times did you finish that Sinister 7, the 100-miler?
Before UTMB,
Yeah.
I think I'd done it twice.
Okay.
That was the extent of my 100-mile experience, though.
Right. Well, clearly that's all you needed, right? And
Yeah,
I'm glad you got in before the Stones took over,
yeah.
whatever. That's really cool. So was it 1 year later that you were you were going to
Two
run it 1 year
years.
later, then COVID happened and you got pushed for
Yeah,
another year. Okay.
exactly.
Did you we didn't ask this. Do you have a family? You have kids? I don't
A
recall.
wife and a dog.
Wife and a dog. Great. So the dog didn't go to France probably, but the
Dog
wife
did
did
not
the
go.
first time. Okay.
Yes.
So next time when you went to UTMB, was she with you? Did you make it
Yep, she was. She went there, and my two nieces came as well. My mom and my sister came. So it was a big, good family gathering. It was a fantastic event.
did it meet all of your hoopla expectations from what you had experienced watching Killian show up and you were outside of it that year?
Yep.
Did it exceed expectations when he went there from an event perspective? Like, wow, this is a thing.
Yeah, the thing is, to me, it's the beauty of the nature up there. You're high in the Alpine. Um, and we'd hiked a good deal of it, so I wasn't going in blind. I knew certain sections of it. Um, it was it I would say it met and exceeded everything. Just the whole atmosphere. The first 3 hours, you're just running through fans cheering you nonstop into Saint Gervais. Um, and then you start to climb out of there, and there's still people lining the track, and it's just an amazing atmosphere. The runners, it wasn't a lot of communication between the runners. Everyone's pretty focused on what's ahead, which is fine. I don't mind that at all. But the fans were amazing, and the nature the mountain itself is just phenomenal.
From a fans cheering perspective, how did it compare to Boston? Because Boston and LA and New York make a lot of Boston, and New York make a lot of noise. How did it compare? Was it no comparison? Europe is just a totally different beast.
Yeah, it's just because you're on trails, you're not expecting it. In a city, Boston was unbelievable how many people were out watching that.
Right.
But from a trail runner, you don't expect fans. You expect your crew and the other crews, but that's really about it. So to have people cheering you on, it's like, man, it's unheard of. It's a special atmosphere, and then you come into the finish line and you linger around there afterwards and just soak it all in. It's just I've never seen or been a part of anything like that. Um,
What a beautiful experience that could be. What about the aid state? How did you experience the aid stations at UTMB?
they are what they are. Meats, cheese, crackers, soup, repeat. Um, I did have some gastrointestinal issues for pretty much the whole race, which was not pleasant.
Hmm.
I don't think it was caused by that. I think it was caused by me having a big spaghetti dinner prior to the 6 p.m. start time. I'd not been used to a 6 p.m. start time. So instead
Oh,
of taking, small gels and nutrition during the day, I loaded up on carbs and my body hadn't processed it. And that came back to bite me.
right, right.
Lesson learned.
Lesson learned. Lesson learned. Now, a lot of people, because of COVID, every time we came back to a race, right? This is we're coming back to normal, quote unquote, right? That's what's going to happen. So,
Yep.
And this was your first time you ever experienced any of it. So, did you have any perception at that time, like how much extra excitement there was because COVID was because we were coming back to the trails? Any of
You
that?
know, I deferred from 2021. My buddy went that year to run it, and from what he experienced, it was very similar. Immediately after COVID, and then a year afterwards. I think they let that energy out kind of in the partial run they had the year afterwards.
Okay.
So it
Okay. So
wasn't.
you
I can't compare it because I've only done the one
right.
to anything else. But the atmosphere was incredible.
Who other finishers came in that year? And after you finished, so after the finish line, you're there witnessing, but all the elites, people had already come in up to that point in time. So what was it like to hang out afterwards? Like, what do you do after when you're hanging out? What do you do?
Just watched a couple of finishers coming. We didn't actually hang out too long because we had a 4 a.m. bus we had to catch the next night or that night. So I went home, grabbed a couple hours sleep, then we came back and grabbed a dinner. Um, and I don't even think we went to see the final finisher come in because I was still sleeping, I think. So we probably missed a little bit of that final finisher coming in across the line and the podiums, awards, and all that. But just you soaked up the energy through the town every time you were there, even pre-race. Your people are just so into it.
Yeah, I'm sure of it. So I'm looking behind you. You don't Is your vest hanging up somewhere? Is your
No, I wear it. It's I work in the basement, like so I always wear a vest down here because it's chilly. So
okay?
that's it's fully functional, getting utilized.
I love that. I love the UTMB vest because of that, right? Because
Yeah,
you don't have an opportunity to wear a medal around your neck.
no, and there is no metal.
There is no metal. That's what I mean. So
Yep,
it's utility.
yep,
So I pull out a race. Sometimes I pick the old race shirts t-shirts. I definitely pick them based on how they make me feel. I
yep.
do. I don't, it's almost subconscious, but when I evaluate that, I'm like, oh, you know, and I've talked to people, like you run a lot of races and people run so many races, but it sticks with you, I think. Okay, that's UTMB. What was the second run that you did, the second race after that was really impactful for you?
IMTUF was in Idaho,
Okay.
and it's another one, 20,000 feet of climbing, roughly. Excuse me. And like I'd never been to that area of Idaho before, and just beautiful mountains. Like I'd never seen anything like it. And it's a fall race, so the vegetation is all red. Um, it's just, and we had great weather. It was hot, but not super super hot. Um,
How did you pick
and
it? How did you pick that race?
I think friend Becky said it's a good one to run, and she was running it, so I said, all right, that sounds good. I need a race this year. Gives me a good target at the end of the year, keep me fit for the summer when you're prone to just have fun.
Right,
So
right.
it was pretty much based on her recommendation, I think. And
Did you
she's
run it
part of
by
the
yourself? Did you run it by yourself?
yeah. There are pacers allowed, but I'm not a big proponent of pacers and 100 milers. I just I like to take the challenge on myself. The Cocodona was the first one I'd ever had pacers for. And I can certainly see the, the value of a pacer in a longer race like that, 100%. But for 100 miles, I'm comfortable doing it on my own without the need for a pacer.
Was your wife at UTMB, was she crewing you in any way? Or how
Yeah,
did that work?
yeah.
Okay.
She was my prime crew, and I had another my two nieces and my sister. They kind of helped when they were able. They've got that one crew member per person allowed in aid stations rule at UTMB, so it which is pretty strictly enforced early on, and then towards the end they kind of a little more free
Right.
to slip in other people.
She hadn't done that before. So did she, you rented a little car? Like, how does that work? Because when I watch the live stream, that's my sole experience with UTMB and all the stories and videos about it. Right. But I love the efficiency of some of the aid stations and the absolute confusion in some of the aid stations. So, but I love when the runner finally is there with their person and, gets business takes care of. But I'm fascinated to learn about how what your wife was doing, getting all the stuff ready so that she could intercept you at that aid station.
And it was all buses. They were using the public transport. We didn't rent a car for that. With more knowledge, maybe you could rent a car and know where to park, but it's pretty restricted the roads during the race. So they highly recommend using the buses, but that's a nightmare in itself because, excuse me, um, there's just so much lineups to get on the buses to get to the next aid station. It was tough on the crew, no
I
doubt about it.
bet.
They were tired of waiting in lines, and with at least your own car, you've got a little bit of self-determination as to where you're going and where you're going to pause, and not stuck in a line somewhere. You might be stuck in traffic, but you're not stuck in a lineup waiting to get on a bus that
Right.
there's uncertainty. Are we going to get there in time? And so, yeah, it was not a great experience from a crew point of view.
Did you have drop bags at UTMB? I don't recall how that works. Do you have drop bags at UTMB?
Just one at Cormier halfway through.
Okay.
Um,
And your crew was bringing you things for those other to intersect and bring you things?
yeah, they'd have some gels and some powder, tailwind electrolyte powder,
That's stressful,
shoes,
man.
clothes. They'd have clothes for me if I wanted to change. Yeah, it was less than ideal. Let's put it that way.
But it seems like it's not her. It's just by design. You got to get on the buses to be more efficient, and man, you rely on that crew to have that thing for you. It doesn't. You only need 5 gels, but you need those 5 gels. So
Exactly.
wow. Okay. Yeah, that would be tough. That would be tough. I had the opportunity to crew for my running coach actually 2 100-mile races, and the first one, it was just a witness. I was there helping the stuff. But by the second one, I'm the one that had the car, right? So like,
Right.
and it was no public transportation, but it was easy enough in this park. So easy enough to go take the car and drive around outside the park, 20 miles, get to the thing, 20 miles, get to the thing. So it was easy enough. But, 24 hours goes fast.
It does.
Whew. So I can't imagine the pressure of being UTMB and like, man, that's why I asked the question, because it's just so, even thinking about it, so stressful for the crew, because there's some things that are within the crew's control. Many of the things are not inside the crew's control.
Yep.
But the runner relies upon the crew completely for all the things that's outside the runner's control. That would include some of the things that's outside of the crew's control, right?
So you do have to be prepared at any aid station that they're not going to make it. And if they're not, you just carry on the best you can, get whatever food you can get at the aid station and move on. I mean, it's just another problem to solve.
Another problem to solve. That's right. And so were you able to run all of UTMB or most of it, or how would you characterize your run at UTMB?
There's a lot of walking.
2022, 58 years old.
Yeah, it was, so despite having hiked it for the majority of it just 5 years earlier, and I remember the hiking being fairly easy, running that same course is not easy. The drops, the technicality of the trails, they put obstacles in your way over there. And so even when you think you've got a nice cruisy 10K downhill, it's tough. It's grinding, and it's not a nice gentle slope that you're running down. It's mountain territory. So it was definitely my longest 100 miler, but probably the most rewarding as well.
And by that point, you're already in. I'm looking at your stats now on another monitor. That's why I'm looking away. So after that, you're 58. Then Sinister 7, 100 miler at 59. Iron Legs Mountain Race, 50-mile solo, 59. Gorge Waterfalls, 100K. Boy, that's beautiful, 59. Sinister 7, 50-miler, age 60. IMTUF, 100 miler. That's the one in Idaho, 2024 at 60. Then you go from September 2024 to March 2025, Mesquite Canyon 50 miler. Then you go less than a month later, Gorge Waterfalls 100K. Then a couple months after that, Sinister 7 again, 100 miler, July. And then we wait a number of months as we're training and we get to Cocodona. So I didn't mean to just speed those things up from the age of 60 to 61. When you just towed the line at Cocodona. But when did you decide to run Cocodona? And when you did that, did these other races, because when I read them out loud, they're like, oh, this is perfect training path to Cocodona. But sometimes I'm putting puzzle pieces together that don't actually exist, because that's not really how it happens. So tell the story. Talk to us about once you turn 60, you do the I'm Tough, you finished the 100 miler, and then that's September 2024, and a year and a half later, you're at Cocodona. So talk about how you went from there to Cocodona.
So there's a couple things in there. One is, I know I can do hard 100 milers at this stage.
Clearly.
So I can do them. I'd paced twice for Cocodona. Paced in 2022 and 2024 for two different friends. So
which segments did you pace?
So in 2022, I started at Whiskey Row down to, I think I only
Sedona?
did to, no,
Jerome,
I only did to,
Jerome.
I only did to Fain? Yeah, I only did to Fain on the first leg.
Okay.
But then I did Jerome to Deer Pass, and then I did Fort Tuthill till the end. So I did 3 different sections on that one.
Oh,
and then
that's a lot of miles. That's over 100 miles, right? or about
I don't,
about 100?
I don't think it was that much. The
Fort
next
Tuthill to
year,
the end, though, that's at least 40 something.
yeah, it might have been 100K, but I don't think it was
Okay.
100 miles.
Okay.
And then 2024 for a different brand, I did about just under 200 kilometers of it. Did, so I saw most of it. I'd still had some blank pieces in the course that I had not seen. But we came down in March of this year, and I saw filled in some blanks. I did the Crown King training run, which was an eye opener. Hadn't seen
Why?
that next section. Oh, just the looseness of the rocks, the constant climbing. We got a great day to do it on race day. It was, perfect temperature because I was worried. I'm a fairly heavy sweater, so I was worried about how much weight I was going to have to carry up on that leg, but it wasn't too bad.
Did you do the Crown King in the middle of the day, the training run?
Yeah, it was started at 6 a.m.
Oh,
instead of 5 a.m. So we
perfect.
got, and it
Perfect,
was
right?
warmer on that day. Yeah,
Perfect.
it was ideal. So I'd seen a lot of the course. So I knew Cocodona, I knew what it was about. I knew the environment.
But
But the
at
big thing
20,
was,
hang on, I'm sorry. But
yeah,
this is a 2022. You paced it in 2022. Is that what you said? The first
2022 and 2024.
2024,
Yeah.
right? So in 2022, that was a huge, huge year for you. That's the UTMB year. That's the Sinister 7 year again. That's a Blackfoot Ultra. You did a lot of races then, right? In 2022. So that means, well, wait a minute here. It looks like you did the Zion Ultras 100K. Then
Yeah.
you paced in May you did paced Cocodona. And
Yeah.
then later that month, you do 100K Blackfoot, 50 miler in July, Sinister 7, and then UTMB in August. Boy, you were fit in
Yeah. That
2022,
was
right?
a planned year of heavy running.
Okay. Okay. Sorry to pull you back into that, but
Yeah, no
okay.
problem.
So,
So the other factor for doing Cocodona was
yeah.
having seen the course. I was just on a training run up here with a friend in, I don't know, was it January or something like that? So it would have been January of 25. Yeah, before the 2025 race. And it was a girl that I'd paced in 2022, and her friend who was also I paced for a very short segment in Cocodona that year. She got injured, so she couldn't finish. Um, but I just kind of threw out there because I'd been thinking, if I'm going to do it, I need to do it now before, age creeps up and makes it even harder. So this is almost like a perfect storm. Retired, I've got time to train. Um, so I just threw it out there as what do you think about Cocodona 2026? And they were like so enthusiastic, do it. Um, and part of it they were thinking of doing it, but then they had other commitments. So Mandy came down to pace me. Erica, they both actually ended up coming down to pace me um, during the race. So I had an incredible team supporting me for this year. And so when the sign up button came or date came, it's like, okay, let's do this. You're not getting any younger. If you got to see if I want to see if I've got it in me and how it's going to feel to be that deep into a race. I've seen it on others firsthand, and that was interesting. But that doesn't tell you the whole story until you've experienced it yourself.
Did you get any guidance or suggestions from people to say you should pace or crew Cocodona before you do it? Or did the opportunity present itself just to be a pacer and you're like, oh, I'll do that?
Yeah,
How did they
that was
come up?
total dumb luck. I mean, I wasn't really interested in 200 milers. Our friend was, so she needed some pacing help. So we came down in 2022. Um, and it was an amazing experience, very enlightening as to what was involved. And at that stage, that's not for me. I don't want to do that. Um, it's great for them, but I'm happy to pace and crew and support. And really the same in 2024. It wasn't, my friend, she texted me and said, what do you think about Cocodona 2024? And I said, well, we'll be happy to crew you. And she goes, no, 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 race it. And I go, no, I don't want to race that race. That's not in my,
Oh,
it's not in my wheelhouse.
okay.
So ended up pacing her, and it was again a great experience. Um, saw it firsthand, saw the carnage. So I knew what to expect when I signed up for it. And I just decided I needed to see and feel and experience that.
I didn't know. I didn't know that 200s, even conceptually, were so different than 100s. And in my head, I got caught in a little trap over 60, realizing, oh, I can do hard things. I think I was in a rush somehow, Keith. So I'm like, I ran a 50 miler. Okay. Now I'm going to run 100K. Then I can run 100 miles. Then I can run 200 miles. And just in the last year and a half or so, that was my plan. Oh, I'm going to do that. Now, I don't exactly know why I did that, except conceptually, I think I wanted the idea to just be able to say, oh, I've never run these things, so I'm going to do 100K, 100 mile or 200 mile all in 1 year, which is something you can do, sure.
Mm-hmm.
And so I registered for races, and that was my plan. That was my objective. But I had the opportunity to talk to Paul James Johnson on the podcast, who this year is 69. He finished his fifth Cocodona behind you. And he asked me, he said, Mark, I think it's great to do 200s, but you know what? I'll give you an invitation. I'll invite you to come out and pace me at Cocodona so you can really check out the vibe and see what it's about. And I thought that was a really gracious and wonderful invitation. I took him up on it, and it was transformative. Just happened, and it was transformative, meaning I have a different respect and understanding of the entirety of the race. And I can imagine how you could make it so that Cocodona is your everything all the time, forever and ever. That's how rich the history and the architecture and the community is. And when I realized that, and having experienced it, I had the opportunity to run from the last part, the beautiful piece in the Ponderosa Pines from Munds Park to Wildcat, 44 miles. And it's just beautiful up there. And I had the opportunity to run overnight. It was great. But now I have so much more information. And I'm grateful to Paul to suggest this is the way to do it, because I had signed up for Bigfoot already, and now I respect it too much. I love it. I can't wait to do it. But now I'm like, oh, wait, I'm going to push it off for a year and really take time to get back in and put boots on the ground there too. Right. So your Cocodona experience, you were right. What a perfect storm, perfect setup. Right. So you've got boots on the ground. You have the experience. You get to feel what it's like to be at Whiskey Row, and you know what it's like at Tuthill, the aid station, and all the points in between, and stopping at Sedona and hitting Jerome, and all the pieces that you touched. I felt like, now I have in a way, a responsibility to respect not only the course, but respect myself as a runner. Like, how do I want to show up at those places? Right. That's what that's what I think about it now. So now take us back a couple of months ago, and talk about the training, specific Cocodona training for this race this year. Once you signed up, you'd already done all the pacing. Clearly, I just read through some of the other races you did before Cocodona. But talk about Cocodona specific training for this year. When did it start, and what did it look like?
So again, hired a coach in November.
Same coach as before, or different person?
No, this is a different person.
Okay.
I'd been without a coach for, I don't know, 3 years, ever since UTMB really. But this was a different ball game. And so I had two objectives. One is to get to the start line healthy. And two is to get to the start line in as good a shape, mentally, physically, preparedly as I could. And that meant getting a coach. And so I got a coach, and she was amazing. I mean, I'm a runner, or I guess I am a runner now. I never thought I'd describe myself as that. But I don't like doing the other stuff, the strength work, the mobility work. the flexibility work, because I am not flexible, and it's frustrating. But I also knew that it was a weakness, and I needed someone to guide me and push me and hold me accountable for doing that. And all she had to do is give me the routine, and I'd do it. But I wouldn't do that on my own. I knew myself well enough that was a necessity. My wife insisted on it because she also knows me. Um, I would put in, large mileage, but I'd avoid any kind of stretching, any kind of weightlifting. So it was hugely important. Um, the carnage that the race inflicted on me, I can't imagine what it would have done to me if I hadn't have done specifically the strength training. Um, so that was a large chunk of my training, was getting that in place. She'd give me the program. I just check the boxes, do what she tells me. We talk once a month or so, but she'd give me constant feedback on my workouts. Um, I tend to run too fast in my slow runs, simple stuff that probably 90% of runners do. Just go slow and enjoy it. Less stress on the body. And once we got down, so my wife and I took our trailer down to Arizona on March 6th with the plan to run Mesquite again this year, but only the 50-kilometer one. But I got food poisoning 2 days before.
Oh no.
So I bailed on that. And instead just had great training on the trails. We camped at Black Canyon City for 6 weeks. So I was out on those trails in behind the part of the Cocodona Trail, the early part of the Cocodona Trail. I was out there constantly. And long days, short days, you name it. It's getting some vert because it's a little bit of hills there. It's not huge vert, but there is a little bit.
Were you able to do the actual course? Like, how does that work?
No, only on the training day, the Crown King training day, that I did
Okay.
the actual start, because the ranch is private land, so you can't
Oh,
get in
right,
there
right, right, right. Okay.
to start. So
Okay.
there is a trailhead that links up about 5 miles uh, into the trail. It links up to where Cocodona comes in on the Black Canyon Trail, and then you can follow it right really up to Crown King, as far as I know.
Okay.
So
And
that was huge, just getting that time on the trail.
so
Also went up to,
November the coach
sorry,
starts, and then November you start with the coach, and you're
yep,
doing your training. And in March, that's months later, right? 4 months later,
yep,
you hit Arizona, and were you there from there till the race day?
yep. Yep.
Wow.
We made a trip up to Sedona for a week in there, and we did a trip up to Flagstaff to do the Eldon portion of it because I wanted to see what that was like, because it's new since I'd done it in 2022 and 2024. Um, and the worst thing about doing that on fresh legs is I thought, oh, Eldon's pretty straightforward. Even the down part's not bad.
Oh, okay.
I recognize that, the legs would be telling a different story at 230, 40 miles in, but
Right.
that one hurt. That climb over Eldon at night, I didn't take enough water, and I was a mess on that one. My lungs were starting to, well, not starting, they've been hurting for half the race. My lungs weren't performing very well, so yeah, I hung on. Let's put it that way.
So I've never heard of someone have such a wonderful, aside from pros, really have a good, comprehensive, respectful approach to running this race than this, having all the opportunities you could to get your feet
Yep.
on the ground there. And you're in, how high what's the elevation of where you live?
We're
Is it
about 3,500 feet.
okay? So you get to Arizona and you went up Eldon, so you were acclimated for sure with the heat. You were probably about as
Heat,
good as you could be.
heat for sure. Elevation, a little bit, but not prime. It wasn't my primary agenda to be elevation acclimatized.
So, okay, so training is pretty locked in. You had enough experiences now, and I can't wait to hear a story about your wife because she's been crewing and supporting, and here she is. You're out there together. So it's definitely a team operation, it sounds like. What was your plan for crewing and pacing at Cocodona?
So I was, incredibly lucky with my team. huge experience. So Becky Bates, who's done hard rock many times, she's a 60 plus athlete who, like, she comes seventh in the women at hard rock. And Mandy Gowdy, who's done Tour de Géant, she's done Bigfoot, she's done Cocodona. So like, and Erica Sargent, like she's done 100 milers. Those are my three pacers. And it's like, you could not ask for any more experience on pacers. They knew when to push. They knew when to just let me be. They were full of suggestions as we're going through it. They were entertaining as all get out. And then my wife and my niece, Krista, they were the crew. But really, they were all crew. If they weren't pacing, they were crewing and supporting each other.
So Ed, was everybody assembled on Monday when you started the race? When did they assemble?
Yeah.
How did it work logistically? Very curious about that part.
So they got in on Saturday. They flew in. One was in Tucson, so she drove up, picked the other two up at the airport, and came to our trailer site. We rented a van as our headquarters for the race, just because moving a trailer is way too hard. We did that in 2022, and it was like ridiculous to do that. So we rented a van instead, and that was our base for the trip. So it could sleep 4 plus 1 in the car, so everyone had a spot for those few hours they do get to sleep. And we had to get together on Saturday night. Met another runner at our campsite, Christine Allman from BC, and her husband Ben. So we had a little barbecue together, and that was Saturday night. Sunday night was that was Sunday. Getting all confused. So I then early to bed and ready to rock the next morning. And my crew did not come to Crown King. We've been up that road before, and it's a nightmare. And it's I'll see them in 24 hours when I get to Whiskey Row. I can do that with aid stations. That's not a big deal. So
put a pin in that for a second, because I want to follow the journey. But had you driven that road to Crown King, and what was the vehicle when you drove that road to Crown King in the past?
It was my Chevy Silverado 2500, which has got a very stiff suspension. You felt every bump going up and down. It was not pleasant. And then we actually went from the training run. We took there was a van that shuttled us back from Crown King back to Black Canyon City. And that guy was flying, but the suspension was a lot looser, and it was actually much more enjoyable, not being such a stiff truck.
Yeah, going down is different. So we were in a Ford Expedition, and going up this year, and going up to Crown. We surprised the runner. We weren't going to go there, but we surprised him to get up there at Crown King, and that road was insane. But it wasn't. Yeah. I was okay with it. We were okay with the car, no problem. It wasn't that. But there were people with ginormous vehicles trying to get up that road. And it was harrowing, because I just thought, these poor people, somebody's going to go off the side of that road, but they're not going to go all the way down. They're going to go down just enough so that traffic will be blocked for hours. Yep. That was my concern. I was like, oh man, we got to get off this hill, because those people are still coming the other way. And those people are crazy. Right? That's what I was thinking.
It's a nasty piece of work. And if you can avoid it, do
so. Okay. So the race starts, and how was after all the hype and you had never run the start of the race, right? You never got to do that. So how was that for you?
It's you're anxious to get going with the start line. This waiting around for 24, 36 hours is just irritating. Once you're on the trails, then you can just settle in. And that's exactly what happened. It was just go slow, try to be very, 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 very conservative, and just stay on top of your fueling and hydration. And you're not going to win the race in the first 2 days, really. I mean, or 3 days. You just make sure you're keeping the energy in the tank. And I tried to do that, but boy, I was tired when we got to Whiskey Row. I mean, it's not an easy section.
Yeah, I don't mean to slow you down, but yes, I do actually, because it is almost, it's some of that, the start of the race, not just the start line, but the first 30K, whatever. It's iconic. It's legendary. There's all kinds of stories about it. So that's really what I'm interested in. Like how did you feel like you were just up in the train and not even thinking about it? But everybody after that first 30K or whatever, they later comment about, man, that start is not easy. Was that your experience, or how was it the
Yeah, I
first?
mean, eternally grateful that I did the training camp because I knew exactly what it was going to be like.
Okay.
So when you've got a picture in your mind of what it is, there's no surprises. I'm ratcheting back the effort level from what I did in the training camp, so I'm feeling better. Like uh, I'm I'm moving safer. I'm not taking risks of twisting my ankle or having a catastrophic injury like that. You always got to be aware because there's so many loose rocks. But it was just okay. Start grinding. This is going to be your life for the next 4 days. So settle into it and go move and just be thoughtful with your hydration and fueling is probably the biggest thing I was trying to do because we didn't have to worry about the heat. It was a perfect day. So that's one big obstacle removed. Um, just fuel and hydrate, and then pace. So
How
the miles
excited?
just clicked by. Like that
Just like,
first 10 hours was gone.
okay.
Yeah,
How were you? Did you have any particular level of excitement when you get to Crown King? Because you'd seen it, you'd known it, you've been there, done that, right? Did you have you probably had a drop bag at Crown King, and
had
you
a
weren't
drop
having,
bag.
you didn't have any pacers, no crew there,
Nope.
just a drop bag. So how was your Crown King experience when you came in?
It was great. I mean, like at all aid stations, the volunteers are amazing. I found a quiet little corner, took care of my feet, got some food, was working on eating while I'm doing my feet, trying to do it and grabbing those tailwind slushies or whatever they were there.
Yeah.
Um, just trying to be efficient and not get caught up into the whole um, atmosphere too much. Like enjoy it, but don't waste time. And I think it was actually easier for me to do that without the crew there, because if my crew was there, then I'd want to have fun. Whereas this was more business oriented because it was
Yeah.
like, just do it. So I think I was in and out of there in 30 minutes, 35 minutes.
What time of day? When did you get there?
I think so. I was slightly over 10 hours for that leg. So that would be 3 o'clock, slightly after 3.
Yeah. Okay.
So then leaving at 3:45, something like that.
That's right. So I probably was there at about the same time, I guess. My guy didn't expect us, but when we showed up, he was like very excited, but we were very aware of not holding him back. Like we showed up basically to
Yeah.
say, so great to see you. Let's go. um, I loved the energy there, and yeah, I loved it. So you take off. When is the first pacer that you're going to pick up, and what happened after Crown King? Those first couple of segments, how'd it go?
Yeah, that's a tough. I was warned not to take the next section from Crown King to Whiskey Row for granted. It's a tough section, and give it the respect you need to. You're doing it at night for the most part. And yeah, it was a grind. That's a big climb up. Where is it, to Arasta? I think it is the
Mm-hmm.
up there. And so you're starting to feel it. You're starting to feel a little bit of elevation, fatigue's kicking in. It's that's true grinding in the night there. You're just kind of you're running with some other people at the time, but nothing consistent. It ebbs and flows. You get into aid stations and they're quicker, you're quicker. So it parts. I met my friend Christine there at the last one before we came to Whiskey Row, so I kind of tagged in with her and two other people from the last, what is it, Camp W down to Whiskey Row. Um, so that was good to have a little bit of company there, but I was not feeling it at that point, and Christine's got a walking pace that is blistering. So I was, shuffling, trying to keep up, and she's just boop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop. So it was like, oh, but it was all good. I think we got into Crown or into Whiskey Row 4 a.m., something like that.
Okay.
I really don't, I haven't checked my times exactly.
Was the crew parked around at the square at Prescott? Where was the crew when you
Yeah,
showed up at 4 a.m.?
they're very close to where the aid station was with our van. My plan was not to sleep there,
Okay.
but because I was a little bit ahead of schedule, I said, let me bank an hour. I want to get an hour's sleep here. Um, and which I don't know whether I actually needed that in the end of the long term. I don't know, but I made a decision and felt good with it. The body got a little bit of a break, got some fuel, could digest it properly. We were trying to diagnose some GI issues at that point, and it took probably another 18 hours for it to cycle through and get rid of it. But eventually did. We
Okay.
um, kind of thought we knew what was triggering it.
And you didn't
Um,
Whiskey Row, you didn't actually have to check in anywhere. So did you just got to the van, got in the van, took the nap, got prepped up. Did you leave before sunrise?
it was light out. I can't remember if the sun was up, but it was right around there. And started heading on the next section and trying to move efficiently again. So I had Becky as my pacer for that section, and she is a force of energy, force of nature, dragging me across the dells and up and over the
So,
dells, and constantly switching back in the dells so you see as much as possible. Not making any real progress as the crow flies, but eventually you get out of there, and then you've got flat terrain. And I think at that point my lungs started to feel it. I think that was the first time I was like, I should be able to run this. There's that, you get right out of the dells, there's a slight old railway bed. You're just climbing up, and it's like 1% or 2% max. And I didn't have it in me to run it. So I was just power hiking it because my lungs were just not processing oxygen well. And that was kind of the story of the next half of the race.
was it that so you were adjusting to elevation or no, it was something else?
I think it was dust to start
Hmm.
that got into my lungs. I see a lot of runners were mentioning that their lungs were giving them problems. I don't think it was the elevation per se. Maybe it when I got up on top of Eldon that had something to do with it, but I don't think it was the elevation at that point. Then soon after that, not soon afterwards, probably, I don't know, 50, 75 miles later, my shoulders started collapsing forward and my neck started going forward, which was then restricting my lungs from fully expanding also. So combination of things were fighting. I was fighting with breathing, but it was a great section. I mean, we got to Watson Lake. Um, Quick pit stop there. It was very, very, very quick there because I knew then you just had to get to Fain Ranch
Fain Ranch, right?
again, and that's a fairly.
Did you take any photos while you were at Watson?
I took two photos the entire race, and they were both on top of Eldon when the sun was coming up.
Okay.
Um, I just wasn't my job.
Were you
Um,
aware of them though? Because that's so beautiful
it
at
totally is
Watson.
beautiful, and I try to take that in. That's part of why I love trail running is to be out in nature and to be out there at weird times, like in the middle of the night. That's when everyone else is sleeping. That's I love doing that.
Oh, wait, were you
Um,
at Watson in the middle of the night? I
no, it's
wasn't paying
not
attention.
Watson per se. Watson was daylight, but
Yeah. Okay.
at other times on the course, like when you're coming down Mingus in the middle of the night, that's just awesome.
Right. Okay. So
Um,
you got to get going. You're out the door. The lake's pretty. It's beautiful, but you got to get to Fain Ranch. You just
that's
got to get
the
there.
yeah. The Dells are not the destination. They're a piece on the trail.
Exactly.
Uh, Take it in. I love that little when you cross the creek down there where it's all lush and green. That's pretty sweet down in there. But it's just okay. My whole mantra in the race was get to the next aid station, and I'm sure that's 90% of the runners out there.
I think so.
Focus on that next aid station, and what do you got to do to get there? Um,
Yeah,
Fain,
as crew and pacer, I feel like I had a relationship with each of those aid stations that had nothing to do with me running there. So Fain Ranch is a big deal, and there's a weird set of stretches. Like, how do you get there? And there was no mud this time, so talk about
yeah,
that. Even though there was no mud, you're still running on grass, and you can't actually see where your feet are being placed necessarily. Is that correct? So you want to run, but there's unless you're Rachel Entrigan or Killian Court or other top runners. Like I couldn't even wrap my head around, wait, they're running on this? Every time I'd look
Yeah.
at the terrain, I'd be like, wait, they're running on this? So how did you experience getting to Fain Ranch, the running part?
The running part was walking. Unless it was a clear downhill, gentle gradient, I'm walking it. Because at that stage, the lungs were not allowing me to run uphills, or even the flats were a challenge. And the terrain is a challenge. There's no doubt about it. And I'm paranoid about cactuses. I'd rather have a bear than a cactus any day of the week.
Okay.
So, don't like them. I was happy to see the last of them. But I normally don't wear glasses like sunglasses when I'm doing trail runs.
Yeah.
But for Cocodona, I was going to. And I trained with them because I didn't want to fall into a cactus eyeball first. That was my nightmare scenario. But of course, they bounced out of my pack at about kilometer 20.
No.
So I had no sunglasses. I ended up using a backup pair, but that was a while later. It was like, oh man. But if that was the worst thing that happened to me on my run, that's okay. But going through that Fain Ranch section, what not bugged me, but the frustrating thing on that one is I knew where the aid station used to be, and I knew it changed, but I didn't know exactly where it was, and it was quite a bit further and more of a grind to get there than I thought. So you think, okay, I'm where the old aid station was. It can't be that much further, and it seemed to drag on, and then you had to go under the highway and then doing a little out and back, and it was just a little frustrating at that point.
Did you encounter other runners with that same issue at that time? Because I think that's a big story. I heard everybody, our guys, the same. Like everybody's like, they called us and said, "Hey, we're hitting the aid station. Where is it? What's going on?" And so everyone said, "No, it's not the old one. It's up. Keep going. Look at the map." And they looked and like, "Oh, okay, we see it. Well, this sucks." And then they help people behind them and they're like, "No, it's not over there. You got to go this way. Look at the map." And so. And we were, because it's wide open at that point. So we were at Fain Ranch and, turning around and looking at practically there was no runners. Everybody was like death marching up to Fain Ranch. It was really, I could feel for them, feel for you as the runner, like, oh, this is a little shitty, bonus that you got to go through. So yeah, that was tough. So you made it. Made it though. You made it. Was your crew at Fain? Was the bus? Okay.
The van was there. Didn't take a lot of time there, but had a good feed bag. I think. I can't remember. I think they gave me a plate of pancakes and something, and they present, I eat. That was kind of my story. Didn't spend too much time there. Wanted to get going to get onto the next stage. And the next stage I hadn't done the Fain Ranch to the beginning of the climb, but I'd done the climb up Mingus and the descent of Mingus down to Jerome 2 times in training. So I knew that section really well. I knew the section to get to there was not going to be terribly fun. You're again on the scrub plains and then on that dirt road for a while. So I was really looking forward to getting to the start of the climb. And that was kind of what kept me going through that stage. Little did I know that was going to be one of my nemesis climbs.
Ooh.
The easy climb in training turned into a not so easy climb during the race.
Now, before you leave Fain Ranch, did you have an experience up to that moment in time, or are you even aware of like what the aid stations have and how they are or anything? Because you literally came to the gate as I think that was the Satisfy maybe aid station. It was boring and terrible in my opinion. They really needed to do better. But anyway, so runners come through, you run right to the parking lot, go to the van, get your stuff, boom, 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 out. Right? That was the experience.
My aid stations were all van aid stations. I don't think I remember. Well, that's not true. There is a couple that I do remember for specific reasons later on. But my crew had it dialed in. I didn't need to go into the main area.
Right.
I was in the van.
Only at Tuthill when you had to go in and do the psych check and the bag check and the food. I felt like I'd seen the videos of Tuthill and Whiskey Row and all of them, not Fain Ranch, but so many times that by the time I had the opportunity, I was pacing him at that point. And so it was like hallowed ground. I loved coming into Tuthill, like, oh, I'm in Tuthill. Oh, it's so
Yeah.
cool. Right. Trying not to fanboy out, but boy, I was fanboying hard. So you finally get on trails again from Fain Ranch, and you're heading up Mingus. And is it nighttime? Is starting to get nighttime to get up to Mingus? What's the Mingus?
No, it's still daylight. It was still, I don't know. I actually don't know what time I got up to Mingus, but it was definitely daylight. And I'd planned, and the oxygen deprivation in my lungs was just slowing me down fiercely on that climb. And it was very frustrating mentally because I knew that it wasn't that hard a climb. But my body's telling me, yes, it is a hard climb. So you got to accept it. And so that was a tough mental part, to get there and finally get up to the top. And then you're kind of cruising into the aid station, shuffling very slowly on the road.
Is it a long planned stop at Mingus? Did you plan to sleep there?
Yeah, that was my hour and a half sleep I was going to grab there.
Did you
So
sleep in the van or did you sleep in the bunk beds at the aid station?
so this is a part where my wife Gwen kind of saved my bacon because not I never get really down in a race. It is what it is. I know what I'm doing, and but I was not, I wasn't happy, but I wasn't totally negative either. I was just tired, and I was frustrated about my breathing. So she goes, we grabbed some lasagna, of course, up at Mingus, and we said, okay, you're gonna have a nap, but first you're going for a massage, and I'm going, no, I'm not. Why am I gonna get a massage? I've never had a massage before in my life in a race. You're going for a massage. It's open right now. Just go. So I said, okay, because part of my going into this, I can be stubborn, but with the crew I had, I told them prior to the race, if I'm not listening to you, just say, Keith, trust your crew. And sometimes I just need to, I need a reset. And so I listened. So I went to get a massage.
And that's right at the big cabin where
Yep.
Mingus is the one place where there's a couple of them, but you have to cross the timing mat. So you have to come in that run door at a certain time, and they get you to, before you get in that cabin, right? You got to go across the mat, and it's right there in those back rooms where the massage is happening, right?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
right. I think it was right in the big room, just in the open.
Yeah. Oh, okay,
Um,
okay.
So this girl Raven started working on me, and it was really weird. She wasn't, doing the massage. She was like pinching, and it was like, oh, ow, ooh, ow.
So are you just take off your vest and you have all
Yep,
the same clothes you had on. You get
yep,
shoes are on. You lay down and she just starts working it. Wow.
yeah. She just went to town, and I just, I actually fell asleep twice while she was doing that.
Yeah.
Um,
Good. That's a good sign.
but
But wait, do you
and
get massages generally or you don't get
no,
massages? Oh,
no,
shoot.
no,
And this is
I
like
do not.
race day. This is the biggest race day in the history of race days, right in
Yep,
the middle of the race. And dude's like going to do something he'd never done before because why?
yep.
He's going to trust his crew. Okay.
Gonna trust the crew.
So Raven's getting in there. You fall asleep
Yep.
twice. What part of your body is she working the most?
It was both lower legs, glutes, and the neck and shoulders. So it was all over. It was the real deal. I think it was 25 minutes or so that she was working. I really don't know how long it was because, like, say I fell asleep a couple times, and then it was over, and it's like, okay, I think I feel good. And then I went to sleep in the van for an hour and a half after the lasagna and getting some food. I woke up a new person. I was, and I'd never experienced something like that dramatic in a ultra because I've only done 100 milers. So you, you don't have time to take a half-hour massage and an hour and a half sleep in a 100 miler. You go. So when I woke up, it was like, this is incredible. I feel, not brand new, but pretty damn good for where we are in the race.
And
So then my
completely unexpected, like how you felt was
completely unexpected.
wow.
Yeah, it was. I've never had to sleep before in a race, so I had no idea how that was going to be. Never had a massage in a race. No idea how that was going to be.
Oh, wow.
A big lasagna meal. Don't think I've ever had that before in a race. But the combination of those three, I was good to go.
Man. Yes, I was chanting, there's a humongous Mingus among us. Get the hell out of here. Let's go. So, did you leave in the dark from Mingus?
No, it was still daylight when we left.
Wow.
We
Okay.
had what, an hour and a half of daylight, I think, roughly ballpark. Um, which was awesome. We could make good time down that first steep section, um, and then run the downhills. And we were running. And
Who
at
were
this
you
time, I
with?
picked up my second pacer, Mandy. Um, and she's the one who did Cocodona back in 2022. So she knew the trails. She knew where she was going. Um, it kept me entertained. It was, and it's, I know a lot of people don't like that Mingus stretch, the downhill. I love that Mingus stretch. Um, it's downhill. It's mostly runnable. I don't find the rocks as bad as everyone else does. Um, it's one of my favorite sections on the course.
I'm trying to pull up on another monitor. I'm trying to pull up the elevation and get in your head as you go head down. So by the time you get to the bottom, it's completely dark by then,
Yeah,
clearly.
yeah, it's dark by the time we hit Jerome.
Okay. So did you come into middle of the night in Jerome or no?
Probably would
Just
have
dark.
been, so I'm guessing around 11. That's a guess. I really don't know what time it was. Um, didn't spend too much time there. I think probably 20 minutes. And
So they had some good food up in that little teeny spot at Jerome. So you have to climb up. Finally, you go down that, that last little stretch of pavement. I'm like, oh man, I didn't like it as a pacer. And certainly not going to like it as a runner. So you get up there, you got to cross that timing mat as well. You get there, they have some food. And, but yeah, there's nothing to see up there. You turn around and get back out, get back to
pretty
it.
much, yeah, have a little bit of something to eat in the van and then get going.
And
Uh,
Becky's with you and she stays with you at Jerome when you get her to, she gets you to Jerome, but then does she stay with you?
so Mandy is with me from Mingus. Mandy did from Mingus all the way to Sedona.
Oh,
So that was a good long stretch.
okay, so
And
she's okay. So Dead Horse Ranch
and
is the next one. You're going from Jerome to Dead Horse. You got to run through. You end up running through towns like it's not very interesting. But how did you experience that Jerome to Dead Horse?
didn't like that loose downhill out of the get-go when you get off the pavement.
Right.
That's where our other friend Erica had fallen back in 2022. She
Oh,
slipped there
okay. Okay.
on that loose crap, and that eventually took her out of the race. So I was being very cautious through there.
Okay.
I did not want to have a part two of that. But once we got past that, then I could, well, no, then the GIs were still kicking in. So then we were looking for a washroom, couldn't find one in town, thought there might be something open. But yeah, eventually had to find a nature washroom. And then after that, it got better. So then we started moving down the valley bottom, crossing the river, um, and then making our way to Dead Horse, which is kind of uneventful. It's nice and flat. You can run it on the flat part sections. I think I was running at that point still decently. Um,
But at least then from Dead Horse, you're on that line kiln trail, whatever it is called.
yep.
And that's a talk to us about that. You get to White Flat, but really you're heading your objective is to get to Sedona.
Yeah. So again, I've been lucky. I've run that trail so many times.
Oh,
Uh,
wait a minute. Okay, so you ran from you that's right. Sorry, you said that before. Yeah, so you ran from the Dead Horse to Sedona before.
yeah, I don't think I mentioned that, but we'd stayed in Cottonwood many times at a
Okay.
campground there that you can link on to the lime kiln trail.
Okay.
So I've done that section, I don't know, 10, 15 times. Uh,
Oh,
I know
okay.
exactly what it is. The first time I did it was when I was pacing Mandy. And now she's repaying the favor and she's pacing me on that section. But I've done it a lot. So the first time I ran it, it was like, where is this going? I really had I couldn't conceptualize where that trail was going aside from climbing up gently to Sedona. But by now I just know it so well. It's like coming home in a way, and it's just got to put in the time and you'll get there. We did have one little episode where we lost the trail for like 200 yards, but we quickly scrambled back onto the trail. And yeah, it was just dawn. The sun came up. We saw some balloons. It's just good vibes all the way around.
To
Wasn't too cold
Sedona?
at night.
To
Yeah.
Sedona? Okay, so
Well,
that,
to Deer Pass, anyways. The to Sedona was a little harder. That
okay. So
you
you're
get that.
you get 134 miles on your body by Dead Horse and 156 when you finally get to Sedona. You'd
Yep.
run that part many times. Was there self-talk? And it sounds like this is the best case scenario for that section because you'd run it so many times. You're familiar, great pacer, you covered a lot of miles. What self-talk is there between Dead Horse and Sedona?
Just keep going. There was no negotiation ever in this race with my brain as to, well, you could stop. That never entered the brain. And I know that's a dangerous thing if it does enter, because then it can grab hold and present some tempting offers to you. But there was never even thought of that. The thought was always just move as efficiently as you're able. And at that stage of the race, I was starting to break down a little bit physically. Not the muscles in the legs. The legs were beautiful. Couldn't have asked for anything better in the legs, but just the upper body was starting to go a little bit. My team had actually changed my pack. I went with a 20-liter pack to start, again, because of that water requirement
Sure,
out of
sure,
up the Crown King.
sure.
But I always ended up hauling a lot of water into the aid stations. So they switched packs and put me onto my smaller Solomon pack. And it felt like I was running with nothing, but it still cumulatively it was something. So again, trust the crew. They made the switch. They didn't consult me. They just said, "Here's your new pack. This is what you're doing." I was like, "Okay,
When did
I'm
they
good with
switch
that."
that out? When did that happen? Is that
Oh boy, that's a
Jerome?
good question. It might have been at Mingus.
Mingus. Okay.
It might have been there. I think it was. Um, and it was the right call. I did not need, because of the cooler temperatures, my I wasn't going to the high sweat rate that I would have in a hot year. So yeah, the tough part about the approach to Sedona was the climb up. I think it's Schumer Mountain, which is not again, it's not a big climb. But then I think did I have a blister issue up there? I know I took a break on a rock
Out
and I had,
Shoreman. It's like Shoreman Mountain is what it's called. Yes,
yeah.
that's it.
So we took a quick break as I addressed that. I can't even remember what I did, to be honest, if I just took my shoe off and emptied dirt or if I actually did something with tape.
Do you have
I don't.
blisters? And when you did a kit, like you said before, you fix something, you have blisters that you're taping up all the time and fixing, or what's in general, what was happening through that race?
I pre-taped pretty good. I'm usually pretty good in a 100-miler without blisters, but I'll get hot spots. I got some calluses that, get a little bit sore. And then at one aid station, and probably, I honestly have no idea where it was. Might have been actually Sedona. Erica did an amazing job of retaping my feet and getting any potential hot spots recovered securely. And that lasted the rest of the race. So yeah, I pre-tape, and I did use Tom's blister shield for the first time in a race. I'd been using it in practice. Does it work any better than lubing up your feet? I don't know, but I thought I'd give it a chance. And I had a couple blisters, but really blisters were not an issue for me during the race.
Okay. Tom's Blister Shield. I never heard of
Yeah.
Tom's. I've heard
I
of.
think I got that off of Joe Corcione's podcast.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. I'd love to see additional products. And once I find something that works, I feel like I have tunnel vision. I don't even not
Yeah,
looking and not listening. And I'm not looking for something else because whatever I've got works. Right.
exactly.
So as we head into Sedona, it's so beautiful. But again, I'm trying to remember what time of day is it as you're heading in up that mountain and now heading into Sedona?
So we approached Sedona. It must have been like 2 p.m. in the afternoon or something like that. Um,
Okay.
and I
Okay.
and I think the plan was to sleep an hour and a half in Sedona. I think I did, but honestly don't remember. It was still daylight definitely when we left, so I think it was around 4 p.m. when we left. And at that stage, I swapped out pacer, so Mandy had done her 50-mile section, and I brought back Becky for the climb, the hangover to Schnebly
Okay.
section.
So that was, did you at that moment have, up to this point in time, up to that aid station, did you have any awareness of aid stations? And did you have an experience at that particular aid station? That was the precision, that was the big Kahuna aid station.
Got another massage there.
Oh, that was you got a massage at Club Cocodona at the
Yeah,
precision aid station. Okay.
and it was again awesome. Just I guess you get to turn your brain off for a brief second. You're not racing. You're just getting taken care of. Again, it didn't tune me up the way that the first one did, and it re-energized me. But that's, I think, just a statement of where you are in the race. So you're a little more depleted.
Yeah, once you hit Sedona, man, you only have, quote unquote, you only got 100 miles to go. I mean,
Couple more
it's
climbs and you're done.
yeah. So you're practically finished. So you leave to get to go to Hangover Canyon, and so you leave in the daylight. Sedona's beautiful. Maybe hopefully you had did you sample those watermelon chews that Precision had? No.
Nope.
You didn't. You stopped. The only stop at the aid station was the massage. Okay, yeah, we were kind of the
It
same.
really was.
Big
And again,
parking lot. A lot of people too. A lot of people that dropped there actually too. So big parking lots. Everybody's a lot of chatter. A lot of helpful people. Lots of spaces to park. No real concern about that. At least in the daylight, it was pretty. It was pretty cool. I like that aid station. And so you get out. New pacer. Becky's ready to go again. You're ready to go. And you hit the trail. Now, had you ever run this part from Sedona to Schnebly? Had you ever been on that part before?
Yep. The first day of the training camp was the start to Crown King. The next day was the Hangover Trail section up to Munds Park. So we did that as part of a training. And I had also done the Sedona part. Where did I start? I guess I started at my campground in Cottonwood. I hooked up with the Lime Kiln Trail, did the whole up to approach to Sedona, and then Sedona to the parking lot which is the start of the Hangover Trail. So I'd done that whole section previously.
Okay.
At various different times. So I
And
knew exactly what it was.
Becky had run the race before, so she clearly had already been there, right?
Becky's not done the race. Mandy's done the race. Becky's not done the race.
Okay. So that's an adventure for her. Did she train like you did on these sections or no?
Yeah, so both Becky and Mandy came down for the Mesquite Canyon 50 miler and 50K. So we met them there because I was planning on doing that too. And then they stayed for a week and we all went up to Sedona. And so we did all the trails up in there. So we'd all seen all the trails. My team was prepared. They were dialed in. And Becky's biked that trail before. So she knows it hands down, coming and going, biking and running.
Okay. So
And our timing was perfect. Like we got there as the sun's going down. Like the lighting was amazing. It was a beautiful section of trail.
Perfect. And then you get to Schnebly in the middle of the night?
Yeah, and that once we got up on top of the plateau, that's when I started really feeling the lung issue and I was getting a little fatigued, I think sleep deprived, because Becky said I kept bumping into her and forcing her off the road. So I think I was getting a little bit into the hurt locker area. Whatever sleep and massages I've been getting probably weren't enough. So I think once I got to Schnebly, I think Becky insisted I get an hour of sleep before going off, because then you got that solo loop you got to do, and they didn't want me going off when I wasn't in a sound state of mind. So I thought I was okay, but I trusted the crew. I did know I was getting a little bit of a lean to the right. So it was good advice. Get some fuel, get some sleep.
So you sleep, and it's definitely it's in nighttime, I'm pretty sure, right?
It was night.
Yeah.
So we must have got there at, I don't know, 10 o'clock, 10 or 11,
Okay. So
something like that.
you get some sleep, but you're heading off on your own, and it's pitch black now. It's whatever, 1 a.m. or something, right? So
Yep.
You leave Schnebly and you're off to Munds Park,
Munds
right?
Park. Yep. And that's just a grind. I knew that it was gradually up on the way out. You head north and then gradually down on the way back to the highway. Tried to make up some time on the downhills, but it was a struggle. I mean, the lungs just weren't. I still got a little bit of it.
Ooh.
Cooperating. Legs felt good, but the lungs were the limiter. So just trying to move efficiently at even a walking pace, walk mindfully, and try to keep a decent pace going.
Well, by the time you're at Schnebly, that's 176 miles, and you're just going to Munds, right? So that's 14 miles. But that little 14 mile, and you're by yourself, right? So
Correct.
that was the Mexican spotted owl hatchling elements.
Yep.
How tough was that? Because you're by yourself, you're great pacers, but now you can't have a pacer. You did try to do a reset, didn't work exactly the same as before, but you get out there in the middle of the night.
Yeah,
So how was that 14 miles?
it was tedious. Um, it's not great terrain. You're mostly on. In fact, I think you're always on either a road or a quad track. So there's no single track to make it a little more natural.
Yeah.
It's just at that point you're just stoking miles, ticking them off, and he chose to do this, so this is just part of the process of getting there. I didn't listen to music. I had my headphones. Um, I put them on for one section early on in night one, and I decided, you know what? You don't need to be distracted. Um, you just need to focus on following the trail, not getting lost, because that's going to cost you if you get lost. So I didn't put on headphones for the rest of the race. I thought for sure I would use them at that section, had my playlist ready to go, but it didn't seem like the right thing to do. So I just plundered on and step by step, get her done.
Step by step to Munds Park. Take a
Yep.
tangent here. Do you generally listen to things when you're out trail running or road running?
Tr
When do you listen to stuff?
Training, yes. Racing, no. For me, it's a different game. I like to really focus when I'm racing, and not be distracted. I don't need the distraction when I'm racing. Sometimes during those longer training runs, you need a little bit of something just to help you get through. But I don't find I need that during the race.
Okay. So you make it through the night, 14 miles. You probably get there at dawn or something like that. You're at Munds Park, right?
Yeah,
Or,
I can't remember if it was light or dark. I know I left Munds Park and it was light, and I picked up my new pacer Erica at that point.
yep. Okay. And then you're heading in now we're getting to the good stuff because you're already at that elevation. Munds Park, going to head into the Ponderosa Pines. It's some beautiful stuff, totally different than what you'd seen before, but it's pretty decent. Had Erica run this race before? She has, yes?
She ran the same year as Mandy,
Okay.
and she got to just after Sedona. So she injured herself coming down after Jerome,
Okay.
stuck it out to Sedona, but it just wasn't worth it to go on at that point. So I
So,
I actually paced her out of Sedona for about 3 kilometers, and then we turned back.
okay. Had she run on this between Munds Park and Kelly? No.
No,
Okay.
no, this was all new.
And had of course, you ran from Tuthill all the way in. So, well, Munds is Munds,
I'd
then
done
Kelly, then
Tuthill,
Tuthill.
yeah. So I hadn't done Munds to Tuthill. That
Okay.
was a new section for me.
Okay. So how was that? How was that section for you? Ponderosa
It,
Pines hits and
I mean, it's my type of terrain. Where
okay.
we live. It's fir and pine trees. So it was very much what I enjoy. What was frustrating again was I couldn't run, or I could only run in the most optimum of circumstances, a gentle glide downhill. So it was frustrating. It was beautiful day, so that was great. And I'm trying to convince myself that just enjoy the process. But the competitive side of me is going, you should be making up time here, and you're not. So
And it was because you were in pain, or no, it was the
no,
lungs. It was the
it was the
air, the
lungs.
lungs. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
That hard packed, it was hard packed. Most of it was hard packed and there were bigger rocks. So you couldn't, there were times where it felt like, oh, you can run, but then quickly it became, well, I want to be safe. We got to make it to the end here. I had one job as a pacer to make sure my guy's not lost and stays safe, right?
Right.
So what I didn't like, and you commented about UTMB and Europe, you cut corners just to get to the bottom. What I found interesting about this particular section was that they had us kind of zigzagging around for no reason other than to cover miles, I guess, because it was kind of weird. So
Yeah.
this was the one point where there are now signs, because the Sedona Canyon 125, all of a sudden you're going to start intersecting with some of those racers. And, one job, make sure we don't get lost. And so we didn't get lost, but there was more than once where I was like, well, looking at the watch, looking at the map, looking at the signs, like we should be going over here. But I didn't almost second guess myself, right? We actually called the headquarters at one point and were like, hey, we think we're on the right track here. Feels like we are. It looks like we are, but the signs are a little confusing. Are we on the right spot?
Okay.
And our crew chief guy is like looking and triangulating. He's like, yeah, I know you're in a good spot. Okay, so we keep going. So we never did get lost, but that one little section was just that section. It was only Munds to Kelly, or maybe it was Munds to Tuthill. I was trying to remember. There were 3 times when the Sedona Canyon 125 intersected with the 250 race. And did you have any even awareness of that, or you just kept going?
Zero. Erica was right on it. I just followed her instructions where she told me to go, and the signs is like, okay, that's where I'm going. She was right on it.
Good. So you get to Kelly. There's no crew there. You get up to Kelly, but they have some decent food there. Did you stop at Kelly at all, or did you just zip through?
We stopped, sat down, had some food. I don't recall what I had, but I do seem to recall it was good, whatever it was.
Yeah, little burritos, and they had some avocado wraps that were just avocado in a warm tortilla. And somehow for me, seemed magical. I don't know. And then they had little bean burritos that they cut up into little teeny sections. So that was good. Middle of the day, when did you hit that? It was probably morning or middle of the day?
Early morning.
Yeah, okay.
Sun was still, it was up, but it was still fairly low in the sky.
Right.
So, nice temperature. Again, just the frustration at not being able to move as quickly as I thought I should be able to was the biggest mental thing to overcome.
And did this keep you? So now, okay, you go through Kelly, and now we're going to head up to the iconic Fort Tuthill. Kelly Canyon is mile 202. Fort Tuthill is mile 211. So how did that stretch go?
It was good. Good. It was slow, but again, just checking off miles. The one thing I remember on that section is I told Erica, okay, I've never had a dirt nap before. I want to have a dirt nap. So I'm ready to lie down on the ground. She puts her jacket down. It's like, I don't need a jacket. I'll just do it. All right, listen to the crew. So I immediately was out. Woke up 3 minutes later coughing, just as a friend of hers is pacing another person coming up, and all of a sudden there's shouts of joy, and she was, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to wake you up. And it was like, yeah, I was already awake. So it was all good, but I got my 3-minute dirt nap in, so it was great.
And had you planned some of those, or no? This was just a novelty that once again you're going to do something you hadn't done before. You tried a massage twice, right? You like that, so right? So
yep.
Why not? You never had lasagna before in a race, and why not? I better get a trail. That's like going to the Grand Canyon and not taking a photo. You got to do a trail nap at Cocodona, right? So did you, aside from the adrenaline rush that you get from the fact that you took one, and it's, morning time, it's beautiful there in that section. It's just really nice. It's just pleasant. It's pleasant, right?
Yeah, it's beautiful there.
So you wake up and you're like, let's go, right? That was the attitude, was let's go. Okay.
Unfortunately, let's go meant let's walk.
But that's okay. Are you beating yourself up about this every 10 minutes or what's happening? And are you whoops, hang on. We lost a video feed there.
It's all right. Yeah, I just got a low power mode, so I might have to plug in a second here.
Yeah, plug it in. Yeah, you're coming in at 4K, man. You look fantastic. This is going to be a great episode. So we're talking a lot about it now, but in the middle of it, when are you just dealing with the fact that the breathing is a thing you're taking care of, or is it adding to stress during this long stretch? Because you feel good, it's daytime, you wanted to be running and you can't. Like, is there adding to stress because of your awareness of the oxygen issues?
Stress. No, I think I'm pretty good at taking things as they are. Um, I didn't see a real big solution to get me out of that. It just was kind of like, I'm gonna have to deal with this for the rest of the race. Um, I mean, I'd noticed one of Christine, the girl I was running with earlier in the race, when she was going uphill, she'd walk with her arms behind her back to open up her lungs and
Oh, okay.
or on her hips. And um, I said I should try that. But I think it was too far gone for me for that to have any impact. I mean, I did try it briefly and it's like, yeah, all right. It's not really helping. But at least I was still trying to troubleshoot. But I think I'd kind of accepted it. Okay, you just got to deal with this for the rest of the race.
So there's a cap to how much you feel like you could fill your lungs up with air? Like what's happening when you're describing this? Like you can't breathe in enough air, or
Yeah,
what's okay.
couldn't take a deep breath.
Yeah. So it's capped. You're breathing in and you can't go
but I'm only
more
getting,
and you
yeah,
just keep going. Okay. So it's daylight and you get to come to the old Army Reserve or Air Force Reserve station at Fort Tuthill. You get to run on the driveway. You run over the inflated welcome. It's, Tuthill's here, and hopefully there's people cheering because there's a lot of people there, right? So you're cheering. And finally, I'm guessing, could be wrong, but is this the first time you get to go into the aid station, the Tuthill, the facility itself?
Well, I'd been there for pacing duties in 2022 and
Right,
2024.
right.
So
Okay.
I was very familiar with it.
Okay.
Spent a fair bit of time there. And it's great. Again, got another massage there. That was my third massage.
Wait a minute. You start with none, you get three. I never
Yeah,
heard of this. Okay, I
no,
got to write that down. This is must listen every once in a while, Keith. Is a new experience, and we're going to call it, because you're in your 60s and you're doing this after all this time. That's wisdom. That's called
yeah,
wisdom.
right.
Good job, man.
Trusting the crew.
Oh wait, she said go get a massage. You're like, okay,
Yep,
okay,
yep, I'm in. And I also
and
tried those, what are those inflation boots? The
oh
ones that
yeah.
inflate up, and I tried that for the first time. Didn't really like that one, but it put a lot of pressure on the toes, so I didn't.
Ah,
It's
so
probably using
did you do that and eat before you did the mental check,
yep
or did you? Okay.
before. So I think I was there because I think I slept there too. I think that was my last planned sleep. Um, I think I got an hour and a half there, although I don't remember sleeping there. So I'd have to ask the crew if I actually did sleep there.
Well, we're confirming for certain that what you did do is follow the crew. So that's really
Yeah, exactly.
smart. So you leave Tuthill, celebration, everybody's clapping, good job. You get checked off. You do the brain test. Do you remember any questions from the brain test?
Yeah, I do. I thought I didn't think it was a big deal. It was just, what day is it? What's your name? Um, they asked me where I slept last, and that was a trouble. I knew exactly how much sleep I'd had, but I could not remember where I had slept last. And Erica's right beside me, and I think somehow I said Munds Park with a question mark, and she goes, "Yep." and they go, "We're not supposed to answer," but they let me go anyways.
Okay. Yeah, I'm
So
standing right next to them and they're like, Pacers, be quiet. I'm like, okay. Did you hear the question? They said, name 3 holidays in May.
no. Uh, did they ask me that one? They might have.
Well, as we sit here today, can you think of 3 holidays in May?
Well, that's the only reason I'm thinking they did ask me, because I know being a Canadian, Memorial Day doesn't really strike a bell with me, but Victoria Day, Mother's Day do. So, um, I don't know what the third one would have been
That's
other
what I'm
than,
saying. That third one. I'm standing there freaking out because I'm like, wait a minute. Am I my one job? Down, I have another job, right? One job is don't get lost. Number 2, make the runner safe. But number 3, you got to get past this mental thing. So I'm just thinking like, what 3 holidays? What 3 holidays? So luckily he says, well, there's Memorial Day and there's Mother's Day. And I think the question was name 2 of 3. Maybe that was the question. Name 2 of 3 holidays. And I couldn't think of it. And the woman said, yeah, that must have been what it was. Because then the woman says, well, there's Cinco de Mayo. And I think it was Cinco de Mayo when we were asking that question. So I'm like, oh, well, good thing we only named 2 because that was not in my protocol, right? That was not in my quiver. But we got through it. So
yeah, I think they did ask me those. Yeah. Now it's coming back.
I'm sure you're like, wait a minute, is there a Canadian version of this? Give me a different question, right?
Well,
Wow.
I'm sure I said Victoria Day for Canada. So
yeah, so you got it. You're good. Okay, they left you through. So you get out of Tuthill. Maybe it's middle of the day. Maybe it's starting. You can tell it's going to get dark. Whatever this next section is going to be, it's going to be dark. Walnut Canyon is the next one.
And I know, again, I've done that section twice in pacing with both the people I paced.
Okay.
And I just remember how cold the Walnut Canyon section got, especially the first time I did it because I didn't have gloves. And I was freezing down there back in 2022, but I wasn't going to say a word of complaint because my runner's like 200 miles deep and she's like giving it all she has. And I'm not going to start whining. But
good call,
so I did have gloves on this one, but it was daylight. So it wasn't cold. It was, I forgot how long it takes you once you start dropping down to actually get to the canyon part of it. It seemed like that went on forever. And I had gotten my runner lost there in 2024.
Oh.
It was in the night, and I went off course by about probably a full mile before we saw a runner coming back to us. He'd also gone off track, and he'd recognized it before we did. So that was like, okay, you got to be careful here. Pay attention to the intersections, because we'd just blown through an intersection at that. It was during the night, and I was like, oh, I felt so bad.
Yeah.
Like you say, as a pacer, you have one primary job. Don't get them lost.
Right. And I think Walnut Canyon, I'm trying to remember, that's like a pass through. I don't think there's a thing, but Wildcat's the next big one. You got to go, you're going from Hill to Walnut, and then I think up to Wildcat. Yeah, I hit it in the middle of the night. It was cold, but it wasn't as cold. I was prepared. You know, I had cold weather gear, but I just had on my hoodie and I put on the rain jacket, and it's just enough to buffet wind or whatever. So it was perfect. And I had my gloves. But my job as not getting lost, this was the big test to the my Phoenix X Pro, which I'm a big Phoenix fanatic for years and years. This is the first time the watch works perfectly in the middle of the night when I needed it. No issues at all. And I kept following my little blue arrow because I can't see anything. But this is when I just had developed a relationship with Jamil Curry. Mm-hmm. And I called him Jamilio during that stretch. And we'd see the marker, and then I'd be like, okay, Jamilio, where you at, my brother? Let's see that marker. Jamilio, where you at? Because the watch says we're here. And once you get so deep into it, your mind tells you, wait, was that a little cut off? Did I just miss something? And you didn't. But in your head, and I got one job, don't get lost at this point. And I'm in front, and I'm like, Jamilio. So, it ended up, we gamified the whole thing because that section to Walnut Canyon was, that was something. And then the last 2 miles to Walnut Canyon is quite deceptive because you'd run it, but if you hadn't run it before, you don't know what's waiting for you. So there's a climb. You're climbing up them rocks, like within 2 miles of Walnut, and you gotta climb. There's no question about it. And it's not that great of a distance, but man, it was the first climb we'd had in this section since Munds Park, really. And my runner gets to the top of this, and he'd done this before, right, a number of times. So gets to the top, and I think I got to talk to him, but I think might have been frustrated enough that we had to do that climb again. He knew it, right? He gets up there, and by this point, let me check the number so I'm not wrong. Walnut Canyon is 227 miles in. So at about 225 miles in is when you finish that climb. And he gets up there, and it's flat, and it's still pitch dark. But for some reason, it's like, oh, we can run. So he finished that one, and this guy takes off. And so my next job was to not get dropped by your runner. He's already got so many miles on his legs, and I'm still fresh. I feel like it's a party because I haven't had to, right? We're moving along just fine, but so funny. He takes off.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. We're running. So he runs into Wildcat, and it was just hilarious. And then there was once you get to Wildcat, I feel like they added an extra 0.4, 0.5 miles because you get there and you can see the aid station. And it's like in this swampy marsh area or something. And it's like I can see the aid station, but the map is taking us a couple more 0.4 just to, I don't know, to make up the miles. But anyway, we got there. But do you have any recollection at this point, this time, you didn't get cold? Do you remember that little climb I'm talking about at Wild?
Remember the climb? Yeah. That's it is short. But when your lungs aren't working, it's not pleasant.
Did that hurt more? Like, were there times when you're like, oh man, this is really making it bad?
Not so bad on that because that is so short. I mean, it really wasn't that bad. So you could moderate it with pace, but again, that I know the next section you want to be running, and there were maybe some sections I shuffled, but mostly it was just a brisk walk. So again,
okay, so
frustrating.
you're brisk walking it, you get past Wildcat, and you get into Wildcat with your pacer, but now we're at Wildcat, and you're done. No more pacers from Wildcat to the end.
So sorry, there was a section from Walnut Canyon to Wildcat.
Correct. Sorry,
Right.
yeah, Walnut Canyon.
And
you climb up, and then you get to Wildcat.
yeah, and Wildcat, the crew told me to take an hour's sleep before I went out solo, just so that we're prepared mentally and physically to take on with the next, what is it, 20 miles to get to the finish line, something like that?
19. Yeah, 19. But I
19.
guess it could feel like 50 depending on how
Yeah,
you're feeling.
It did.
It did. Okay.
And having done that climb up Eldon, it's beautiful climb. It's not steep. It's on fresh legs. It's glorious. But on tired legs and tired lungs, it was not glorious. And we did make a mistake there. So I had these cue cards. I had business size cue cards for every leg.
Okay.
That I had that gave me the elevation profile, gave me the distance to the next aid station, gave me the amount of liquids I needed to the next aid station, and it always gave a comparison of the trail from either a Sinister 7 or a UTMB or just nothing.
Okay.
So if it was a lot of elevation, then it'd be a UTMB comparable. If it was medium, then it would be a Sinister 7. So at least I was prepared mentally for what was ahead of me. And I'd refer to those for the first half of the race. I referred to them pretty regularly, just to make sure I had the right amount of liquids, especially in the first day when you're on your own. So I didn't have to think, this is how much liquid I need. This is what I need for gels. Load and go.
Did you have all the cards with you, or did you only take the ones you needed for the next step?
The crew handed me the one for the next step.
Good. Nice
each
plan.
time.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I got lazy. On that. And so for the last probably 6 stations, I wasn't checking anymore. I knew partly because I knew the course, and partly because the crew had everything dialed in that I could turn the brain off. And that bit me because on the last aid station leaving Wildcat, I only took 1.5 liters of water, and definitely needed probably double that to get up and over Eldon and down to Trinity.
Trinity Heights. Yeah. Ooh.
So I ran out of water. I knew I was in trouble pretty early on with that, so I tried to ration it and delay it and space it out, but I still ran out. I'd say 2/3 of the way up the climb up Eldon. So then I'm dry down to the bottom. Luckily it was at night, so I wasn't sweating a whole bunch, but I certainly could have used the calories that were in there. And then when you don't have the liquid, you can't have your normal calories because there's just nothing to wash it down with. So I depleted myself on that last leg through my own fault of not double checking what I was going to need on the leg.
Okay, so as you get to Trinity, you go up and down Eldon. Wow. I didn't ask specifically, were you did you use a mix of, you mentioned tailwind, so you had some liquid calories, and did you have other gels, and did you take also supplemental like salt capsules? How did you mix the sodium and electrolytes versus the carbs throughout the race?
So the plan, at the first half of the race, I was pretty good with my diligence to, fueling with gels, and I was using the Never Seconds. Um, but I was worried that they were causing some of the GI distress, so I cut that back way back, and I was relying mostly on aid station foods. Um, my crew was forcing me to have candies, and I'm really not a candy guy. I do have a sweet tooth, but the candies don't work for me in races.
Okay.
So I was sick of those. Um, so I think I was already the aid stations. I was getting a lot of solid food, which was great. Um, and I was still taking salt tabs probably up until Wildcat, when because of the liquid shortage, I didn't have anything to wash it down with, so I stopped that.
Ooh,
So I probably got, dehydrated, under sodium, under electrolyte, undernourished. It was a perfect storm of ugh, for that climb and the descent.
but you made it to Trinity. What happens at Trinity? You get water? Like what happened
Oh,
at Trinity? What did you do?
first off, there was a trail guy with a camera following me on the whatever final 500 meters approach, and I'm going, "Oh, I know exactly how I look right now. I do not want this filmed. This does not look pretty." But he
Or
followed me in.
you're like this, you're
Oh,
paparazzi stopping him. What were you?
yeah. I was ignoring. I was in ignore land.
Oh my God.
Um, so got into the aid station, and I probably downed a liter of water right away. And then I tried to minimize my time there because I knew it was a 4 mile section that I just needed to get through. My lean was getting a little worse. My shuffle was getting a little worse. I was depleted. But I knew the end was in sight. So don't take a ton of time here. I think I grabbed a couple snacks, but I couldn't even tell you what it was.
Did you
Uh,
top off sodium? Did you deal with that stuff or you just took the water?
I ended up getting a mixture of half and half of ginger ale and water in my flasks.
Okay.
And I loaded both of them. Probably didn't need both of them loaded, but I'm so paranoid now about running out. So it was really getting some calories and liquid into me. I didn't feel I was on the verge of cramping at all, so I didn't worry too much about the sodium and electrolytes. It was more just give me the energy to get to the finish line here.
Okay. You hadn't mentioned it before, but I know I want to stop to talk about the lean. Has the lean ever appeared in any of your races in the past?
Never, never. And it was not it was just
Had you
it
heard
was an,
about it before? Had you
oh yeah,
seen it? Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Had you, investigated all like, well, what causes that? Or what do I do if that happens?
I know nobody knows what causes it, um, other than it happens in endurance sports, specifically trail running. So I'd heard that lying on your back can um, make the symptom go away in the very short term, but as soon as you start moving again, it's coming back. And it wasn't so also my neck was forward. So not only there, but my neck the neck muscles had kind of stopped to support it, keeping your head up. So I did not look like a pretty sight coming into the last 4 miles. I ran, but I knew I was close to the 100-hour um, mark, and that was my A goal, was break 100 hours.
Okay.
Um, so I knew I couldn't lollygag and walk it in. I had to put out an effort, even though it wasn't going to be efficient. It was just going to be as quick as you can, run when you
Were,
can.
were you in pain with the head forward and the neck? Were you in pain as you were running or?
I wouldn't say pain. It was uncomfortable, but it wasn't painful.
And were you able to move faster than you had been for all these many miles because of the lungs? Were you able to actually get moving?
Yeah, I was, because I mean, for the last whatever 18 miles, you're climbing up Eldon and then coming down that
Slow.
rock slide.
Yeah.
And then the worst part for me is that coming down off Eldon, you get to it's kind of a flat spot and you think you're done, but then there's that constant up and down,
Right.
up and down, up and down, up and down that goes on forever. And I'd run it before in training, so I knew it was there. But it's still, when you're a depleted state, that aid station cannot get there soon enough.
Yeah.
And that was a really hard mental section, just to keep it together and keep moving. and you know you're not moving fast, but you just keep moving. And eventually got to Trinity, quick pit stop, and then move up right off, and because okay, this is going to end soon. So get
You,
done, and then my crew was waiting for me on just outside Buffalo Park, and they had their unis on. They had these special outfits. I can't even describe them. Mostly black with very colorful triangles on them, and yeah, it was quite something to see. And I told them I really would like to enjoy this run in, but I know I got to focus in order to break 100 hours, and I got to move. And if I've got to move, I'm not going to be talking. So it wasn't the, I don't know, grand enjoyment entry into Flagstaff and having fun. It was still work and didn't stop until crossed the finish line.
okay. So you pick them up. That's exciting. I hope when we're done here, you give me a bunch of photos quickly so I can see all this stuff. See that. So you finish ultimately at 99 hours, 29 minutes, and 57 seconds. So you still had a half hour to beat that thing. So yeah, everybody gets picked up early on. You're running through the streets of Flagstaff, and
And again, the crew still working full time saying, okay, 99:29 sounds a whole lot better than 99:30. Keep moving, keep pushing. So they were pushing me right till the end.
And so they pick you up. They're glad to see you, and you're running through. And what time of day is it for you?
Would have been before 9 a.m. So it would have been like 8:30.
Perfect. Okay. It's daylight. They run you in. And who's with you? Who's actually running? Is it everybody?
Everybody. So I got my wife Gwen, Krista, niece Krista, and then Becky, Mandy, and Erica, the Pacers. So the whole team's there. Way faster than I am at that stage, and I'm just hanging on, getting across the finish line.
Any
And then I could
particular emotion or feelings when you make that right hand turn in through the gates? You know, that last shoot.
no, my friends and family will tell you that I am not an emotional creature.
Okay.
It's it's the finish line. I get to stop. That's the emotion. It was funny. Steve, the race director, asked me shortly after I finished, "Did it change you? Did the race change you?" And I didn't have an answer for that at the time. Um, upon reflection, it wasn't the race that changed me. It was the people that came down to help me, um, that supported me. Just that they were willing to do that for me, and that it was such a blessing that they were part of it. Um, I had such a good time that it was just that was the experience. It was my team going through this together. The race was the race. I knew what it was going to be. I knew what it was going to demand of me. But it was the people. So that was really cool.
At one point, as you just finished, and Steve, everybody's cheering, and yeah, I can't imagine you can't really have a soundbite ready for people when you're just kind of experiencing it. So the race finishes, you're still in the crowd. Everybody else, the crew's probably even taking pictures. There's the race official pictures. You get the buckle, and you go under the tent right there, right at the finish line. There's a photographer, right? Are you, as you're holding up that buckle, getting the photograph for having just finished? Is anything hitting you yet, or is it still just like part of the finish? Like, at what point do you say, holy cow, we did it, I did it, I did it, we're done, even though you might not have had emotion in your voice? When did it hit you like, yes, I did it?
I don't know. I recognize I've done it. Um, I didn't know if I was going to be able to do it, but I think at a certain stage in the race, um, you're going to finish, barring some catastrophe. And I think I experienced that almost prior to the finish. Um, so the finish is not a letdown, but it's just okay. I've already experienced it. Yeah, I'm done. I get to stop. That's to me, getting to stop is the reward. And full circle, Raven, the masseuse from Mingus Mountain, was there. I got another massage at the end.
No way. From her?
Yeah. Well, actually, she passed me off to her auntie because I was in pretty bad shape.
Yeah.
And she said, my auntie taught me everything I know, so I want you in the best hands. So to Raven and Shauna, you guys, you saved my race for sure. So that was
Well,
pretty unique.
thank you, Raven. Thank you, Raven. Completely, Raven.
It was awesome.
I wanted to, before I said it out loud, I wanted to make sure this was correct. How you like this one? I'm glad I'm going to be able to say it to you, Keith, and maybe you already figured this out. You are the first person in the age group 60 to 69 to ever finish the Cocodona 250 under 100 hours.
Yep, that was it was an aggressive goal going in. I knew it, but that's what I wanted to achieve. It's so much nicer to be under 100 hours than over, regardless of whether it's the course record or not. That's um, just to say it's 99 hours. It's better, and it's also meaningless. It's at the same time. So um, it's so temporary, and it's only important in my brain. So my wife can't believe we're still talking.
Wait.
Oh, Gwen, you're going to be requested to come here. Nope, she's running away.
Oh, Gwen. There are 34 human beings, men and women, who have not only attempted to run the Cocodona 250 between the ages of 60 and 69, but who have finished the race since 2021, since in the inception. And you're the first person to break the 100-hour mark. So at 61. So congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm very excited about it. As I told you before we started, I first saw Kevin Flieger, Paul James Johnson, and Stephanie Irving last year, 2025, do that, finish in their 60s and finish the race. And I was shocked and amazed and thought it was amazing. And so I really wanted to keep my eye out on those people. So while it might not mean anything, I think in some ways it means everything because we don't stop. Here we are after 60 and we can do those hard things. And I think, Keith, you've got your name on the wall now. And I'm really excited to see how many more people show up. And also, humans are crazy and amazing. And once we do one thing, guess what? Other humans do the same. So let's see how long it takes them, the next group of 60 to 69-year-olds next year, to see if they can bring it in under 100 hours. So congratulations. It's really exciting.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. And thank you for coming on the podcast too, because this is who I want to speak to. And I think being able to hear in a long form exactly how it went and why you did it and how it goes is really important. And I am so grateful that you're here. So what's happening next? Are you going to do Cocodona again? And what's next?
Not going to do Cocodona again, nor any other 200-mile race. I've got, I looked at my watch after the race and I ran for a grand total of 11 hours, according to my watch. Whether that's accurate or not, I don't know. But I'm not, and I knew that going in. I knew there was a ton of walking involved, but I thought for sure I'd maybe hit 30% running. But it doesn't happen that way. So I'm more interested in running than the extended races we're walking in. So I think 100 miles and under will be my niche for the next few years. It just this took a lot in terms of commitment, training for both myself and my wife Gwen. So it's a big ask. It's a big ask financially too. I mean, it's not cheap to do these things. To do them, especially when you do them, as properly as you can. Trying to control as many inputs as you can and get the best training you can. So for me, it's more going to be the 100 miles, 100-kilometer races. I'm signed up for Crazy Mountain 100 later this summer. In July.
I see that.
Yeah, July, which that's supposed to be a pretty, I don't know a lot about that course. So it's supposed to be pretty tough. And just looking at the times for finishers, it looks like it's earned its reputation.
Okay.
But I love the mountain courses. When you get up into those alpine areas in the middle of the night when there's no one around, that's just special. So after that, I'm gonna hopefully go down and pace Mandy at the Mammoth 200. So I'll still enjoy pacing for 200s, just not gonna partake in them after this.
All right. Well, Keith, this has been a master class. I'm really going to point to people because thank you for letting us break it down every single step of the way to understand how much preparation you did. So you're right. This is a massive undertaking that deserves respect to have done it. But I think it also makes a lot of sense for you to say, no, I did it. I prepared.
Yep.
I worked it. I paced for years, finally came, did it, did something no one else has done yet. And on to the next thing.
On to the next thing.
All right. Has your why evolved over time? Why you run? That's the last question for the day.
I mean, people always told me you have to have that why dialed in when you run Cocodona. I really don't think I do have it dialed in. I run for the challenge to see what I so lucky to have a body that, yes, through work, but I've had very good luck, very minor injuries. But to have a body that can carry you 250 miles through the desert, I mean, that's just, there's a lot of luck going on there. So I don't have a why dialed in. I never did for Cocodona. I had a goal and an objective. I wanted to see what I could do, but not a big why. So it's just to push yourself. For me, keep pushing and see what you can do and see what your body can take you to. But I've always avoided that why, the underlying why. And avoid is not the right word, but I don't have it.
As it's so articulate and clear. Maybe even that word it's not the right word, because it's easy to say, if I were going to say, why are you going to run this race? I can answer that question. And I can answer, I had a health scare in 2015, biggest scares of my life. And so my why was, I just need to prove that I'm not going to die. But once I proved that and I didn't die, then, well, maybe the why can change. So thank you for that nice, deliberate answer, Keith. Maybe I'm going to switch up. Maybe I need a new going out. So, because it's inspiring.
And so maybe a bit of my why, and I just thought of this because on the trails, I don't really celebrate birthday per se. Birthday's just another day to me. But on the other hand, I try to treat every day like it's a birthday. Every day I'm only on this planet for a very, very short time. And I don't have, I'm in the 60s, so that other side of that age group gets narrower and shorter, and so I'm not going to be doing this forever. So that's maybe the biggest why, is because I can and I still am able to. And this is the one trip I have around this sun. Let's do what we can. And physically, to be able to push like that, mentally to challenge. So that probably is my biggest motivation, is I want to live every day like it's my birthday.
Okay, drop the microphone. That's it. No, you did it. Drop the microphone. Pregnant pause. It was perfect. Keith, thank you very much for joining. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I'll keep an eye out for you. And it's inspiring. But thank you for all the details, man. This is really good for anyone who's interested in doing Cocodona. You'll realize it's a lot of work. It can be satisfying, but it's putting in the time. And this is part of how you train for a Cocodona race like this. You got to do this kind of research. You got to listen to someone who's done it. Right? Okay.
Absolutely.
Appreciate
it, Mark.
Fantastic. Thank you, Keith.
Okay.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Okay. Sounds good. Bye-bye.